Oh, damn it.
But then you're like, what did I eat? Like, what did this consist of? That I didn't.
And how can I harness that?
Yeah. How can I recreate this every time I have to shit?
Just clean break syndrome.
Yeah,
it's like taking your dog out to the bathroom, and while you're like, how do you do that? And you never have to wipe.
Yeah, dude, it's weird. So I have a new favorite thing that I've been doing to try to spread a little bit of positivity in the world.
Okay.
With our masks, right? With our masks on, people can't see most of our face. All they can see is our eyes, right? So they can't really distinguish what we look like at all.
Okay.
So whenever I do something like hold a door open for somebody, or just something that's so stupid and just like common courtesy, and they say thank you, I say you're welcome back, but I say it in a foreign accent, like something that's completely like maybe like a little Ukrainian accent, like my attempt at it.
Okay.
You know, like maybe a little bit of a British, like it. Oh, you're welcome, mate.
Cheers, love.
Yeah, or I'll go full Australian and call him a numpty cunt. Oh, you're welcome, you're right, numpty cunt. But
which is a compliment there.
Yeah. Like when someone calls you well, I think numpty's bad, but cunt's good. Cunt's like
numpty bad, cunt good. Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Giving a little
Scott's Guide to
there.
Australia.
Yeah. Can you imagine how many tourists I would get killed if I was a tour guide in Australia?
Oh,
all of them. Yeah. But I like to think that I'm helping spread a little bit of positivity in a time where there has been a lot of hatred for foreigners. If I had a slightly darker complexion, I would go for a Hispanic accent. Maybe change some hearts and minds if I could.
Change some hearts and minds.
Well, I mean, let's be real. The guy who owns a landscaping company who's at Wawa at like 4:30 on a Sunday probably doesn't have some very Never mind.
No, continue, please.
He doesn't have a lot of progressive thoughts on immigration policy in this country. So you know.
On the flip side, if you were a tour guide in Australia and you knew that you were going to get people killed with your comments, that could be like the sneakiest way ever to actually be a serial killer. I mean, don't get me wrong. You would derive zero satisfaction from it yourself because you're not doing the killing, which means you'd have to kill way more people to feel good about it. But I mean, you can
God, the way you said that was horrifying.
It could be satisfying though if they were like American tourists, like Americans that you hate.
Yeah, like just
you could just watch them get strangled, like yoked up by a fucking roux.
Like those kind of guys that have like the beard with no mustache. Those fuckers. You know what I mean? You know the ones where the whole family's fat. And you're like, this can't be genetic. That kid's like not even one yet. How much do you breastfeed that baby? How is he obese already?
My favorite phrase, probably for the remainder of the night, is going to be yoked up by a roux. I don't know why. I'm laughing so hard I just got lightheaded. Oh fuck! Welcome to episode 8 of the Cynical Nerd. My name is Chris. As always, I am joined by my two cohorts, Derek and Scott. Derek, how's your day going?
It's going excellently. I'm pouring myself a perfect glass of scotch right now.
Ooh.
Very
nice.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of things. I have things to say about. So I'm very, very excited.
Awesome. Scott, how you doing today?
I'm my third 24-ounce black coffee of the day. So
you ready to ball?
Yeah, so I feel like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction right now when he's like all fucking he like cross-eyed driving with the wind blowing his hair. I also chain smoked an entire pack of cigarettes today between 8 a.m. when I went to work and right now.
Nice.
Before we get started, if I can have just a moment of the listeners' time.
The floor is yours.
Schmegs, weebs, furries, people who talk on their cell phones in public, Gen Xers, all of you pieces of shit, listen up. Last week I told a very embarrassing story about how I broke a VCR, my mother's VCR, to get a porn tape out because I didn't get caught jerking off.
R.I.P. that VCR.
Yeah, we haven't received any angry emails, but I've gotten a lot of texts like, bro, what the fuck? So I'd like to address those texts. First of all, how comfortable are all of you? How comfortable do you just have my phone number and you text me about shit instead of writing a fucking email? But secondly, I just want to clear the air here that the following month was like around her birthday. And for her birthday, I sold my entire Pokemon card collection, even the holographic Charizard, boys. And I bought her a DVD player and a bunch of DVDs for her birthday. It was like a 3 to 4 week. So was I a piece of shit? Yes. Have I always been? Will I always probably be? A little bit. I don't know. But my point is I have redeeming qualities. I'm tolerable in small doses, and if I fuck up your VCR, I'll buy you a DVD player.
Yeah, but then like a year later, you broke the DVD player because you didn't want to get caught jerking off to that too.
That's not true.
Cancels the whole thing out.
But could you imagine if it was and you just knew that? I was like, what the fuck?
If your face has been blank.
Are you John Edwards? Who told you that?
It's like you just
My
went into
Nana
like
watching
some
me
shitty.
jerk off?
You just went to go visit some shitty tarot card reader. You're drunk with your friends, and you're like, she won't know anything, and she describes perfectly how you murdered somebody 2 summers ago. You're hiding it from secret, and you're like, what the fuck? And that's how the movie starts.
In this scenario, I like to picture myself as like a young Freddie Prinze Jr.
Okay.
Somehow,
we all want to picture ourselves as a young Freddie Prinze Jr. Let's be honest.
Serious question though. Before, like, I've had this on my desk for 2 days. It's the last White Claw I had. Do I drink it or do I just dump it out?
No.
You 100% drink it.
Bro.
You definitely drink it. Yeah.
No, Derek was so convincing, and I'm not. But I don't think you should do it.
I'm just saying there are basic bitches in Africa who would kill for a single White Claw. I should probably drink it.
You should. Yeah.
I mean,
they'd love to put Leonard Skinner on the fucking jukebox and just crush a 2-day-old warm White Claw, and you have that opportunity right now. You can do that.
You can be that man for them, Scott. You can bear that burden.
Yeah, we'll think about it.
You can, yeah. Before we get too far away from it, because we've talked about this, my brain, my stupid simian brain only works in movie references and character quotes. When you started that story about the VCR, and you said, weebs, schmegs, furries. In my head, I heard Jim Carrey from Ace Ventura. Weebs, schmegs, furries, lend me your ears. Just screaming from the top of the fucking tree
out of his asshole, which is ironic because I usually talk out of my ass as well.
Well, very good. Derek is not kidding. We have a metric ton of shit to go over today. We have some news, some weekend review stuff. Some of it's just going to be skimming it right over the surface, just moving right along. Some of it's going to be a little deeper of a dive. And then we have several main topics tonight, all of which we absolutely will get to, I promise. So it's The Lighthouse, which I just I watched it. I think that's what the term is for it. I watched that today. And then we have Mandalorian season 2 episode 3, which I'm very excited to talk about. I have an inkling of how these guys feel about it, but I'm going first this time because I was very happy with it. Spoiled it out the gate, sorry. And the last but not least, Last of Us 2 conversation, which we've been, I feel like, teasing by no, it was not a strategy that the three of us talked about. We've just been trying to get to it, and we all ramble too much. If you're still here, if you're still here in episode 8, it's probably why you're here, so you can't be that mad at us.
Yeah,
thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
It's good to finally put this attention deficit hyperactive disorder to good use.
It certainly helps us fill time. I'm very proud of that.
Well, that's high praise.
First, yeah, it helps us fill time. I really appreciate it. First in the news is some random stuff, and it's more of just a surprise to me, so we threw it in the article. James Gunn confirms he starts work on that Peacemaker show, Fuck It's Peacemaker, on HBO Max in 2 weeks. I feel like we just heard about this news a couple of weeks ago that it was happening, and then they've started casting other people in it. Steve Agee is going to be returning as John Economos, the warden of Bel Rev Federal Penitentiary. Penitentiary. Yeah,
that's the guy from
that's
Suicide Squad,
Nailed
right?
it. Got it in 3.
Right.
Yeah.
And really, the moral of the story of this article, if you go look for it, is that, or if you look at James Gunn's Instagram, is that if you're a famous director, you get a free Xbox.
Yeah, piece of shit. Yeah.
I mean, you guys both read that. You saw that picture that he put there?
And it's the first thing he says, like, oh, I don't know. They just gave me a free one. Like, you had to say it. You couldn't just say you got one or something. What an asshole. Just a dick move. I'm also happy for you, James.
Yeah, but also I could give a shit less about either console that launched this week. Like, at this point in time, so I'm just like, yeah, all right, man. Way to flex on, like, that minute graphical increase that no one's going to notice for the next 4 years until they finally find a way to utilize it.
Yeah, can't wait to play Bug Snacks. Looks like a real hit on the PS5. Real banger that game is.
They even fucking put a sweet, like, graphic on the outside with his name, and it says "Power Your Dreams." Like, what do they think? Do they think by giving him a free Xbox, he's gonna just put the thing in his next fucking movie for free? Like, they don't have to. This is their way of trying to get free product placement. Do you think?
I mean, mission accomplished, because him tweeting about it is better than it being in a Guardians of the Galaxy movie in the background. Unless Groot's playing the Xbox Series X fucking that's what it is, right?
Series XY
sure.
component.
It's just an AIM screen name at this point.
Yeah.
It's just all it is. I agree. I would love to see Groot doing his shitty little sarcasm voice. I am Groot, and fucking with his adopted raccoon father.
Yeah, I would love to see Groot playing Halo Infinite and just be infinitely bored by it in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Just completely checked out emotionally and mentally.
Okay, I would just love to watch him play Halo Infinite on it, and then have him say how shitty the graphics look. And it would be like a joke in the movie, but all of us would just be nodding.
Right.
Yeah, we get what you're saying.
I want to see him totally break character and look right at the camera and give like an honest review about what a fucking shit show it is. Like just like some like James Gunn like really has it in for Microsoft, and so he actually like makes a character like stop what they're doing and be like, "Hi, I'm Vin Diesel, voice of Groot," and just give like an honest, "This game is awful, don't fucking buy it." That's what I want to see.
Yeah, if Vin Diesel hates you, you're oof.
Yeah. You're doing something wrong there, bud.
Alternatively, that might be a great way to introduce Deadpool to the Marvel Universe, because he can come in and break the fourth wall. They don't have to, and we still get our fucking our digs in at Xbox.
It's true.
So what we're really all trying to say is fuck you, Microsoft.
Yeah, you suck. You're the worst.
At the end of the day. We have another quick bit of movie news. WandaVision, which we're all looking forward to, even Derek.
Yes.
And I feel like I have to preface that by saying even Derek, has had its release date set for January 15th, 2021. So it's on the calendar, coming out in about 2 months exactly from today. Look, would you look at that shit? They put a new teaser up. It really doesn't, there's nothing in the teaser, so we're not going to talk about it. It's cool that it's coming so quickly. That's what she said.
That's what she said yourself?
I do it all the time. What do you want?
Feels like you just did a little bit.
It's like that guy who like bounces it off the headboard and runs up and dunks it. You're just like, all right,
like come on.
Yeah,
I'm
you could have just shot the fucking
how,
ball in.
I'm more happy at like how offended you were that I did that.
Yeah,
you can't. That's what she said. You said you can't triple stamp with double stamp. You can't triple stamp with double stamp.
Okay, all right. Fuck.
Gotcha. I'm excited about this. I mean, originally, I believe Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to be out of the gate first, but because of the pandemic, things got shuffled around. We're getting WandaVision first. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about it besides I'm really looking forward to it coming out because it looks just weird enough to be really fun.
Yeah.
Same. I think that's like, when I always, my major gripe with like, and not just the MCU, but really any like long-standing franchise is that it gets kind of tired after a while. It's like the same thing again and again. And so when I talk about like how the new things should be done and new things should be experimented on, like this is what I'm talking about. I mean, the fact that it's like taking place in different eras of television throughout the past, 60 years or whatever. I think it's more like 80 years. And it's set up kind of like a sitcom, but there's something weird happening behind there. I know we just covered it a couple weeks ago, so I won't go any deeper than that. But I mean, this is literally what I'm talking about. Like these new ideas, taking like a standing franchise and sort of approaching it from a different angle. It looks fucking awesome. I can't wait for it.
Nice. Any other thoughts on that before we move on?
Nope.
No? Okay, cool. I didn't think so. Just making sure. I didn't want to cut you off. Next up, keeping in line with the superhero movie news, Wonder Woman 1984, which was supposed to originally come out, I think, this month, and then was pushed to next month.
Yeah,
Christmas Day. Yeah. Is apparent. Well, I mean, is apparently now back up in the air as Warner Brothers is not sure what to do with the release window. And it really looks like they aren't sure. So originally the director, Patty Jenkins, said she wanted it to be in theaters. She was doing like a Christopher Nolan type of commentary about how like it should be seen in theaters, blah, blah, blah. And regardless of how much I disagree, because I do heavily, there is, it's her movie. She's the director. I'd like to honor, what she wants to do with it. Yeah. There is conversations that might be softening. Her stance on that might be softening. There's two ideas right now in Warner Brothers, according to this Bloomberg report that came out last Thursday. The first is that it would still hit theaters on December 25th, but released to HBO Max within like a 2-week window, like a very short span of time. I am 110% fucking down with that idea. I think it's a great idea. The other plan is to move the film completely to like summer of next year, like June 4th, 2021. I think that's a garbage idea, but I'm not the only one on this podcast. Derek, how do you feel about it?
So like obviously, you know, I have HBO Max, and so when you're talking about it releasing the 25th, you know, next month, and then as long as I was reading it correctly, it seemed like as soon as 2 or 3 weeks after that, they would put it on HBO Max.
Yeah, probably like mid-January if they did it that way.
Yeah, that would be cool because then I get to see it. But I understand, like, you know, a lot of the numbers that, you know, these studios use to like continue giving teams work is how well they did opening weekend, opening week, yada yada. So when you like take away sort of the full stretch of like what a movie would be in theaters and say like, oh well, you should just be giving it to the fans. Well, it may be hurting a lot of people's careers, but at the same time, those numbers aren't going to be what they would be normally anyway. With, you know, COVID cases rising. So like I get the idea to push it back to when things will hopefully be normal, but I also don't think that they're going to be normal then. So it's almost like, you know, I know I'm going back and forth here, but it's like at some point, I don't know, rip the Band-Aid off and just let people watch the fucking movie.
Just release the fucking thing. You're sitting on something that will make you money.
Yeah.
Scott, any thoughts about that?
Several. First and foremost, whenever I see that they're releasing a movie on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, I just think, fuck you. Like no one's clamoring to see. I wouldn't even go see Star Wars on Christmas fucking Day. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'm sorry. It's asinine to me. The pushback, I get it. I think taking it directly from theaters to HBO Max is a bad move unless HBO...
I'm sorry, theaters? Theaters?
Theater. Sorry.
Theater. Okay.
Fucking
just wanted to make sure.
Oh, I couldn't recognize it without the British accent.
Like taking it directly from the movies, because Derek's a cunt, from the movies to HBO Max with no pay-per-view, no on-demand. Like, as much as I don't want to pay $20 for that movie on demand, I wouldn't. There are people that would, who want to see this movie, who don't want to go out in public and risk it because they have high risk, you know, loved ones. Cases are ramping up again. I mean, I'm at the point now where I just wear my fucking mask. I sanitize. I use hand sanitizer everywhere I go. I would go sit in a theater by myself and see it. But I think taking it directly from the movies to a streaming service where the monthly paywall is less than what you pay to see the fucking movie on demand is a terrible idea from my financial stand. It's great for the fans, but it's not a smart business decision unless HBO Max is paying out the ass for it. And if we're being honest here, like, Disney Plus, I read, has 73 point something million subscribers. HBO Max has 8 point something million subscribers. If you include all regular HBO subscriptions, it barely breaks 37 million. So they don't have the kind of bankroll, I think, where they can be getting a movie like this. No one's going to subscribe to HBO Max just to go see Wonder Woman. You know what I mean? I'm sure some people will, but how much are they going to spend versus how much are they going to make on a monthly recurring subscription? Because I think you're going to see it's going to be a very similar case where if they take this road, it's going to be like it was for me on Disney Plus with Mandalorian. When it's over, I'm not giving you my fucking money until it's back on again because you have nothing else I'm particularly interested in seeing. Having said that, I'm really gunning for HBO Max. I think they have wonderful programming personally.
They really do.
I think I get the most for my money out of that one out of anything that I pay for monthly, and I pay for all of them. It's fucking obnoxious.
Yeah. Same.
I mean, it's just, you know, I think it's a bad look to keep pushing things back, but at the same time, I'd say that that's a better option than a 2-week limited release followed by it just being on a streaming service. That's going to be a giant loss for everyone involved, I think, except for the fans. So greedily, I would want it, but it's a bad move.
I would think that if they did the HBO Max release, they would put a premium price tag on it. Like, it's on HBO Max, but you got to pay, I don't know, $20 or something to watch it. Like, because didn't they do that with Mulan on Disney Plus?
I wouldn't do that either, honestly. Yeah, not for $20. But yeah, they did Mulan, but it was $30. Oof.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And that's why Disney just rakes it in, bro. They just rake it in.
Yeah, but their service is also like $7 a month or something.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
For now.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And Max is like what, 15? Okay. So there's that story up in the news. Oh, I'm sorry. Scott, I have one thing to say to you, which is I've actually been to the movies on Christmas Day, and go fuck yourself.
It's a terrible. I'm sorry. First of all, who unwraps all the shit that they got that they were excited to get, and it's like, fuck all this shit. You guys are gonna go watch like fucking, I don't know.
I'm gonna go see Titanic,
Yeah,
bro. I'll be back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see Tomb Raider Chronicles or some fucking like. It's never. It's
Tomb Raider Chronicles.
that's a video game. It's not even a movie. But I don't even know what the movies are called. They're also fucking forgettable.
So here's I'll give you the exact situation.
You
Right?
went and saw one of the Star Wars movies. I know you did.
Probably.
One of the
honestly
sequel
don't even
trilogy
remember.
because they all release on Christmas Day because Disney's at con.
Probably. It was probably like a second or third viewing of a Star Wars movie, to be honest, which is even worse. But so here's the situation that leads to the Christmas Day movie, okay? And you might not like it, but I believe you will go, oh, okay.
Escaping family is our nightmare. I got it. I read your mind like a telepath.
It's the opposite.
Oh, your family's wonderful? What's that like? I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
You have had so much coffee,
Dude,
and you are so quick-witted today, and I can't. I feel like I'm sorry. I'm just getting pelted.
I'm sorry.
You're over there with just like spit wads from a straw, like, and I'm like, keeps hitting me in the face with them. I don't know why. So we go to my mother's and I'll make this really quick because I know no one gives a shit, but we'll go to my mother's Christmas Day morning with the family. My sister and brother-in-law come over with their kids.
What are all of their names? What are their children called?
Yeah.
Tell us a Nick story where it's like 45 minutes of everyone's name and like what they do for a living before you get to the point.
Yeah, and like how he met them and like how he feels about them. But yeah, they're a pretty okay dude in the end.
Yeah. He's got he's got a list.
And somehow he just randomly pulls up Destiny 2 again at the end. So we all go over there. We open up presents, we eat lunch or whatever, and then we just stay there all day and we have dinner together. We just spend the whole day together, the whole big motley crew, everybody. So sometime around, I don't know, like 2-3 o'clock when everyone's bored out of their fucking minds, I'll turn to my brother-in-law, what's up, Bob? And I'll go, hey man, you want to take the kids to go see like a movie? Like we'll go take them out and kill some fucking time before dinner starts. That's really all we've ever used it for. Yeah, exactly. See, I told you. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I still don't agree with it because fuck Christmas Day movies, but I figured you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but still though, like fuck them. I'm not saying fuck you for going to. I'm saying fuck them for releasing it on Christmas.
Yeah, I mean that's
like the day after. Yeah, a week before when like everyone's like, I would love to just unplug and go sit in a movie theater and not think about anything but what's on the screen for 2 hours, like the week before Christmas, because you don't get any time to decompress between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
I don't think it's a dick move as much as I just don't understand it. Like you're cutting a huge amount of people who could go see your movie out. Yeah. Like didn't the Star Wars movies come out? Like, is that what you were just saying? Like they came out on Christmas Day? Like that's just weird to me to take like a huge franchise like that and like, let's do it on a day where almost everyone's busy.
Well, it wasn't on Christmas, and I'm pretty sure it was like, I don't know, Last Jedi or Force Awakens. They both came out December 19th or something.
Yeah.
So they were out. Yeah, they were out in December. I definitely had already seen them. We probably just went to go see it again or something. But regardless, next up in the list of stories is one we probably all have very particular views about. So there was a little bit of hubbub in the news about Anne Hathaway and the Witches film that we all watched and reviewed on the podcast.
It's lovely.
Plug in it. Go on back and take a look at it.
It's very good.
Take a listen to it. And she has been getting some flack online for how the film depicts, the witches have like 2 or 3 fingers, I believe. And so people have been giving the movie crap for how it presents people with limb difference, like, people who have different disabilities, like what's it called, like ectrodactyly, I think, which is a limb disability where the the hands look somewhat similar to how they were depicted in the film. I can't lie, they do look somewhat similar. So she issued an apology in public, and I think we all have thoughts about it. And Scott, I'm going to let you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to let you go first.
Thank you so
I
much.
knew you didn't have to hold up your finger.
You got a whole load you're sitting on right now. It's very clear. You've been like fucking just gyrating the whole time he's been like introducing the topic.
He's going to get one of those coombs where we can see his bones through his skin. Withered.
What I will say first and foremost is Anne Hathaway.
Withering coombs.
If we hadn't already decided not to put Coom in titles, it would be Withering Coombs.
First and foremost, Anne Hathaway handled this so graciously. She is so charming and eloquent in every facet of everything she does. And I've honestly, like, reading the words that she wrote, I felt like it was honestly a sincere apology. It wasn't her just pandering. I think she honestly didn't take into consideration the way people were going to feel about this. But who did? Like, who could possibly imagine that would be the response for something that's clearly fictional? Like, are we to cancel the Wayans brothers for their depiction of the guy with the strong hand in Scary Movie 2? Like, how it's this to me was not in any way malicious. Intent is taken out of the equation again, like we talked about last week. People, it's this perpetual waking nightmare that I wake up to every single day. It's like I don't dream anymore, but every day when I'm awake, it's a fucking nightmare. Really, like it's like
what an enlightening message to the youths of America.
It's true,
something
man.
to look forward to in your 30s. Every day is a nightmare.
Well, no, every day is a nightmare because the world's so fucking soft now, and that's the reality. Like I understand that someone could see something like that and have their feelings hurt about it. Well, that's a part, like, not to sound insensitive, but that is a part of life. Things are gonna happen. They're gonna make you feel insecure about parts of yourself. And a lot of that is internalized. A lot of that's your own perception of yourself. It's not someone might point at you and laugh and be cruel, but it's not always necessarily people being intentionally cruel that sets you off. It's the things that you feel that get triggered by outside stimuli. You know what I mean? And this to me just seems like it's reaching so fucking hard. Like in related news, Hayden Christensen apologizes for his insensitive portrayal of paraplegics. Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck apologizes for his insensitive take on PTSD and people who have lost their parents in their lives. Like, the only person who needs to apologize is Jared fucking Leto for his depiction of the Joker in Suicide Squad. That's literally it. Everyone else is good because it's fiction. It's not there to hurt your feelings. If your feelings are hurt, if you can't watch a fucking movie, a PG movie on a streaming service without writing an angry letter, well, oh my god. Well, someone else writing an angry letter for you.
Oh no! Oh god! Oh god!
He means like a ghostwriter. That's all.
Yeah.
He just means like a
somebody get your ideas on the paper. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the point.
Oh my god! The joke was great, okay, but we can all appreciate a good joke.
Yeah.
It wasn't the joke that's making me laugh so hard. It's when I saw you realize what you were about to say.
Yeah. It's not even what you just said, it's what you were about to say. That's the best part of it. And you do this thing where you're kind of like you accidentally burped out loud or something, like, oh, oops, on like a date. Oops. That's what you do every time, just like that.
So I realize what's in my head, and I realize that I can't cop out, and I have to say it.
No, we've all been there.
It's this thing. It's like everyone needs to have like a sense of humor about themselves, and obviously with things like this, where you have limb differences, where you have things like that, like it's obviously a huge obstacle that people have to overcome. It's not something to make light of, and I shouldn't make that joke, but I'm a piece of shit, so I'm sorry. But the whole point is, like, it was not malicious in intent in this movie. If you feel victimized by something that's not even depicting a human being, it's depicting a fictional creature in a made up world. Like, how are you going to survive in reality when someone says something horrific to your face? You know what I mean? Like, it's not to be necessarily insensitive and say, well, I'm not trying to invalidate the way you feel, but at the same time, like, there's got to be a point where you realize that there's a difference between reality and entertainment, and we need to get back to a point in time where we're more entertained by entertainment than we are by being offended by it. And that's something we really need to get back to, man, because it's getting to a point where you can't do anything without somebody becoming a victim, like playing the victim.
Yeah.
Derek, how about you?
So yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that, I just want to preface this by saying, because we're talking about basically cancel culture, and we have another topic coming up, spoiler alert, that's about the same thing. And we've talked about it in the past, and I've gone right on record saying that I think that cancel culture is stupid, and for the most part, I think that it is. But I just want to be clear that, like, when I'm talking about that, and I think that when you guys are talking about it too, we're not talking about, like, comedians who go on stage and throw the N-word out just because they think that in itself is funny. We're not this, like, low-hanging fruit, awful humor that nobody's actually laughing at, that only exists to hurt people. Those people should be canceled. Those people are scumbags, or their time has ran up, or they're from a time where that was okay, but it's not anymore, and they should be canceled 100%. And nobody is disagreeing with that. But yeah, I mean, I really can't say anything that you didn't just already say. I think it's a little goofy. We're talking about, the fucking movie's called Witches. It's about witches. Like, It's not like they were doing anything to make fun of people with, I already forget what it's called. It was just an aesthetic choice. And, you know, again, Anne Hathaway, she did the right thing. She said an apology. There's no reason for her to double down and act like, you know, she didn't do anything wrong. I think she did do the right thing and just say, look, I apologize. I never meant it to hurt anyone, and that's it. And, you know, I mean, what else is there to say? That's kind of it.
Yeah. So I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. However, ultimately, well, you'll see. Let's just get into it. So imagine you watch this with like your, you know, I don't know, 12-year-old son or something like that. And you go out in the world and you see someone that has limb difference, and your sons might look at that person and think, oh, I just saw this in a movie where the person with those fingers is evil. And whether you like it or not, or agree with it, it might color their opinion of that person. I know it's not real, but it's possible that it could happen. That's the devil's advocate conversation.
Okay.
That being said, I agree with you guys because, like Scott brought up, it's very optimistic to strive for a world where everybody is nice to each other and is mindful of others' disabilities and is caring about them in the way that they talk about them. It's not our world. And as much as I say that we should strive for a world that is like that, you're never going to get everybody to do it. There are always going to be terrible people out there that decide to say shitty things to others that they can't control. And to kind of shield your child from that is the wrong thing to do. Like, you should be helping them to cope with it. Maybe help to educate the person who said whatever shitty thing it was, if you can. But really, it's about helping that child or whatever adult, even if it's another adult that's having this issue, to cope with it and to realize that there are terrible people out there. It does not reflect on them or their self-worth. It's just that there are shitty people out there who have their own fucking problems to deal with that are taking it out on you. And so to yell at someone like Anne Hathaway, who, let's be real, probably had no fucking control over the look of those creatures in the film, and have her actually issue an apology about inclusivity and detesting cruelty and apologizing for the pain she caused. I mean, sure, it probably did, if we're being realistic with the millions of people in the world, make some kid that had ectrodactyly feel a little down on themselves when they saw it. And that's a teachable moment for the parents.
Yeah.
And a growing moment, to be realistic about it. I'm not saying we should put that kind of shit in front of their face all the time, but like, it's a good opportunity when it comes up. And that's long-winded way of saying, like, I ultimately agree with you guys, although I can see where people who are upset about it are like, well, I don't want kids to see this and then look at my son who has it and call him a monster, you know?
Right.
Because anyway,
if I can respond with one thing to that,
sure.
I mean, I remember being like a little kid, like 5-6 years old, maybe, young enough to not know any better. You know what I mean? And I remember being at a mall with my mom, and I saw the first little person I'd ever seen in my entire life. And being a little kid, I didn't know that you know, I didn't know that little people existed. I'd never seen anything like that. And my reaction was to laugh as a little kid, because it was a grown man who was the same size as me. And you're a child, you don't know, you don't even, at that point in time when you're like that young, I don't even think you understand the full scope of like how other people's minds and thought process work. That other people could have their feelings hurt by something that you know, an interaction like that. And my mother immediately sat me down in the mall, like, no, and like explained to me that everybody's different. You know, that some people it's more visible than others, and that it's never okay to take somebody and pick them apart and pick on them and make them feel less than you, or you know, treat them that way based on their physical appearance. Now in my adult life, I don't always apply that, because if someone's a piece of shit and they happen to be fat, I would call them a fat piece of shit. But but the basis usually is that you're awful, and then I'm just gonna, you know, take the gloves off. What I would say in response to the point you made, though, is it seems like it should be teachable moments. That's one thing. Like it should be a parent's responsibility to draw the line between fiction and reality. It shouldn't be the job of Hollywood to police everything they create to make it so you don't have to be a fucking parent. You're a parent. Right. Sit down with your kid, teach them some shit, be an adult, be responsible. It's your job. You know, if there were kids in like the 80s that were watching Freddy Krueger movies and stabbing their siblings to death. You know why? Bad fucking parenting. You know, and I understand that the people with deformities might feel a certain way about it. And I'm not trying to sound insensitive. I'm sure I do, and I apologize. That's not my intent. But it's you know it's up to the parents to sit down with their children and have that conversation. We're like, this isn't meant to hurt you. This is something that may be an unfortunate coincidence, but they're not. No one's saying that you're a monster. This is not real.
Yeah.
This is just a movie. You know what I mean? I don't think it needs to be this big PR fiasco that it's become.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I also don't, and I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think that it is a big PR fiasco. Like, I had actually read it a couple days before you had mentioned it, and the site that I had seen it on was like some fringe website, and I was like, all right, maybe that's just like 4 people complaining about this, and it's not even worth talking about. So then when you had linked it at CNN, I'm like, okay, maybe this is a little bigger than I thought, but I mean, those are the only 2 times I've heard about it. You know, I haven't seen any like Anne Hathaway in deep water, you know.
Oh yeah.
So I think like it's a small, like it always is, it's a small group of people making it probably a little bit bigger than it has to be. But no, you're right. I mean, there is like I think what it comes down to is just that people have to take the initiative to kind of sit down and talk with their kids, and trying to like head that off out of the gate with like every piece of fucking media and the way people think and act is never going to be achieved. So there's at some point it's like, all right, well, the onus is on each individual to either
Right.
as an adult, like digest it in a healthy way, or if it's a child, obviously the parent would do that. I thought, yeah, that's it. You know how sometimes a point just ends and you're like, now I'm just hanging here in
Yeah.
this awkward silence. Yeah.
All right. Up next we have a little trailer, but kind of not what I expected trailer. So they're doing a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion, and they released a trailer for it. Will Smith introduced the trailer, and then they revealed that the special will be debuting on HBO Max on November 19th, 2020. So it comes out next week. But the surprise thing, at least to me, I don't know how it hit you guys, was that I thought it was actually going to be a reunion of the show. It's not. It's more like the cast and crew getting together, sort of doing like a group behind the scenes conversation where they show old footage. And it's not what I expected, and therefore I'm infinitely more interested in watching this than I would have been had it just been like let's do one more episode so many years later.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
Yeah, I agree. What did you think about it, Scott?
It looks like fun, man. It seems like a lot of behind the scenes stuff. It's like I saw some footage like it was them, behind the scenes when they were younger as well.
Yeah.
And I like how like in the trailer they kind of touch on like how Alfonso and Will had this really great natural chemistry. I was always surprised that Alfonso didn't pop in the same way that Will did, because he really was in a lot of ways just as big a star of that show. Like when he had his moments to shine, every time they did like a buddy episode, it was incredible, man. And he was in like a couple of like B horror movies around that time and after it ended, and he never really, I don't know what happened, man. I feel like he should have been all over the place.
Yeah, he kind of just fell off the map.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
And not sure why.
Yeah.
Derek, how'd you feel about it?
I never watched Fresh Prince. I never watched it.
Oh.
I don't like laugh track sitcoms. I don't like Will Smith either. He's always posting videos where
what?
like, yeah, no, because he's always like posting
this, yeah.
videos next to like a fucking 400-foot long pool in the back of his mansion where he's just like, if you're ever sad, just remember, everything's going to be okay. It's like, all right, fuck you, Will. Like, I'm like 4 months behind on my bills. Like, you don't get it, man. You don't get it. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. I never watched Fresh Prince. I don't really like I don't really like laugh track sitcoms. I barely got through How I Met Your Mother. That being said, I agree. Like seeing that it wasn't, because a lot of these shows, like there's like a Friends reunion. They did like Fuller House, and they all fail. So like to see that they're not doing like, an extended episode or like something like that, and it's actually just the cast members getting together on the old set and just talking about stuff. That's actually way more interesting to me. And I, like I said, didn't even watch the show. So I'll actually probably watch it when it drops. Kind of feels like we're becoming shills for HBO Max now, doesn't it? Feels like
that's why I went. That's why I went on HBO Max. Hey guys, you should sponsor us.
Yeah, you probably should.
I'll show real hard. I mean, Scott's not wrong even a little bit. Like HBO Max does have a nice swath of content. Yes. Like for stuff I didn't even realize was going to be on there ended up being on that service. There's a lot of really good shit on there.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And they have all the old. Yeah, please, just think about it.
just a little bit.
We're more,
What were you
we're more
gonna
likely
say?
to
They
get
have all the-
MeUndies on board than we are HBO Max. Let's be honest.
MeUndies.
Yeah, MeUndies. Let's.
Is that a Bill Burr reference
Yeah,
that you're
yeah,
doing right
yeah,
now?
yeah.
Because I wish I could high five you. God damn it. Copping your fucking balls, but oop boop.
Fucking love Bill Burr.
God damn it.
God
Yeah,
damn.
dude, just so great. What were you saying, Derek? Old shit on there?
That's it. That's the end of it.
That thought ended too.
Yeah, it did. all my thoughts just hit a fucking brick wall eventually, and then I just have to sit there and wait for someone to clean it up. That's essentially, yeah.
So you did mention a Friends reunion. They are actually also doing one of those. I don't know if it's going to be a show in the general sense like we just talked about, or an actual like behind the scenes thing, but they are also doing that. Count me as the guy who can give no less fucks than I currently
I
give.
can't fucking wait, dude. Because Jennifer Aniston is still a bombshell.
She's still smoke show for sure.
What was her name? The other girl. Fuck.
Courtney Cox.
Courtney Cox is still absolutely beautiful. Everyone else
Yes.
is aging terribly. I can't wait to see Matthew Perry and fucking
Matthew Perry looks bad, dude.
Yeah,
He does
and
not
Matt-
look
Matt
good.
LeBlanc-
used to tell
I'm
behind the
pulling him
scenes
up right
stories.
now.
and what
They
was
used
his
to tell
name?
behind the scenes stories about how Perry was on like coke all the time
Yeah,
on set
yeah.
Believe
and just
it.
like totally fucked up. That's great.
I
Oh,
can't
God,
wait to see
he's
how
looking
sad
bad.
David Schwimmer looks. You know what I mean? Like it's just I haven't seen the actress who played Phoebe. I don't know her real name because what else has she been in? Romy
Yeah,
and
everybody knows her as Phoebe.
yeah,
That's pretty
she
much
was in
it.
Romy and Michelle's high school reunion or something like that.
Sure.
Of course.
I think I don't.
I'll
she
I'll take your word
that was like
for
her
it.
big break, and she's been in stuff, but who knows what it is? Do you remember anything? Every
No.
once in a while, you see her like, "Oh, it's Phoebe," and then you're like, just you go back to living your life, forgetting that she had existed at all ever.
Oh shit! It's Phoebe
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Where's she now?
I'm sure.
Who gives a
I'm sure.
shit?
I'm gonna get a very angry letter from the president of her fan club.
But the president's also the only member,
Yeah.
so it's just Lisa Kudrow is her actual
Oh,
name.
I should have known that.
Yeah, it sounded really familiar
Yeah,
once I read it,
yeah.
and I was like, meh. Oh,
I
well.
immediately retract my previous statement about her not being noteworthy because I know that fucking
But
name
anyway-
now that I hear it.
But anyway, fuck Friends. Moving on
Yeah.
to a little bit of news. Zack Snyder sat down with YouTube personality Grace Randolph, and they were talking about a rain. Yeah, I'm not even touching that.
Did you watch that whole video?
I watched a decent chunk.
Yeah,
of it.
she's hard to deal with, huh? Oh my god!
I didn't
What-
watch it, but now I have to.
It's like-
What do you mean?
It's like
Scott?
Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory is a real person, and she's interviewing people who are all like nervous about her energy, but they're all just being real polite about it.
Oh, that sounds like my kind of fucking video. Oh, I can't wait to watch.
She's
this.
like so
Oh,
like
you-
Zach.
She
What did you
also-
think
I
about
mean-
that? You're like, oh my god, tone it the fuck down.
I know it's a little like sexist to make a joke about her looks because she's a female
Don't do
YouTube
it.
personality. Well, it's not her. Not like she has so much eye makeup on. It looks like she's trying to put on the fucking cowl.
Oh
like,
yeah,
as a
yeah.
double
It
for
looks
Ben
like she
Affleck,
put that shit on with a shotgun. I know. Yeah.
But that was I.
No, yeah,
Yeah, because
no. The only thing you're allowed to say about people, about women now, I think, is you can make fun of their eyebrows because that's fair game for everybody, right? We all agree.
right.
Oh,
Of course.
Yeah, if you got a weak brow game, you're gonna hear about it, and your makeup, because that's a matter of technique and skill. That's not something that you can't learn.
and on the other side, Zack Snyder, man, he only gets cuter with age. That cute old man. Look at him.
It's a
His
very
little round-
just salt and pepper.
We're getting
just
back.
very
We're
handsome
getting
man.
back on that train, aren't we?
He's gonna take me out back and show me his tractor and all the. It's gonna have just the
What?
right amount of rust on
Is
it.
he living
I
on?
don't
Is he
know.
living on?
We
farm?
like tall men aged between 45 and 55 on the Cynical Nerd. What's the big deal?
Right, I don't
Timothy
understand.
Oliphant, we love you.
Timothy Oliphant.
John Stewart, we love you.
Timothy Oliphant's giant hog. Remember, he had a whole segment on it. So the whole point of this conversation was to say that he sat down. Yeah, in case you need any more proof that we go off on tangents on this podcast,
Just full
I
circle,
present to
full
you-
circle, right back to the glory hole. You know what I mean? It's like just a revolving door.
Bring it right back.
Yeah.
Coming right on back to that glory hole.
So, for the third time, I'll try to start this without getting derailed by either my own brain or one of you. Zack Snyder sat down with Grace Randolph to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. And they talked about bringing back Jared Leto, which is a confirmation of rumors. That we had heard previously. And he let slip that he's giving Jared Leto a new look. So he might not look like as much of a piece of garbage on screen that he did in Suicide Squad. Not a lot to go off of there. Just a nice piece of information that he will be in it because this guy's got 4 fucking hours to fill. So I mean, bring back everybody. Fuck it.
Except for Amber Heard. Fuck out of here.
Right. You actually cut her.
Was she in the Justice? I don't even remember. Was she in it?
She was supposed to be. I actually think she was in the first trailer for it, the one that Zach cut.
Right.
Because we've had this conversation and we're not doing it again, but DC tried to jump in the deep end and do Justice League way too early, and therefore they had to introduce a bunch of shit. Like, I don't know how Aquaman got like the trident and everything. So I think there was a scene where he goes to Atlantis to get the trident. And he talks to her. She's totally in the actual movie. And I think she was supposed to have more of a presence in the Snyder cut. But, he could just cut all that out.
Imagine having to like have the errand of going
what
to
if
get
that's
your
what the
weapon.
Snyder cut is? He just cuts Amber Heard out. Like the 20 seconds she's in it. Like, that's the Snyder cut, baby. Fucking 10 out of 10 across the board.
You already know someone's going to make a Justice for Depp cut. You know what I mean? Like, Justice for Depp. Justice, parentheses, for Depp, and parentheses, League. And it's gonna be just that. It's gonna be this entire 4-hour extravaganza with all the scenes that Amber Heard would have been in, with someone like maybe Johnny Depp's head crudely photoshopped, South Park
Just
celebrity stuff, like
Canadian.
Yeah.
On the flip side, everybody who supports Amber Heard would make a cut where they named the villain Deppside. I'm sorry. I know it was a bad joke, and I couldn't help myself. How do you guys feel about a new look for Jared Leto? Yay? Nay? Of course the answer's yay.
Yeah.
It better not be fucking nay.
I mean, it's Jared Leto's Joker was just horrendous. It's terrible. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, we've been having this conversation before this podcast. It's terrible, down to the damage on his thing and the ha. Imagine Joker just sitting there and letting someone tattoo like, just like that. Ha. Make it look all crazy. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. I get they wanted to like recreate the character, but it didn't fucking work. I don't know what they're gonna do. I hope they just like get rid of Jared Leto too and like get someone completely new to. But obviously that's not gonna happen. But no, I don't know what else to say. I hope they, from the ground up, as much as they can possibly change it, is exactly how much they could change it.
Yeah,
I feel like it's this interview is very, very telling of how butthurt Jared Leto was about the entire thing. Like, he's been public about it.
Oh, good point.
But the way Zack Snyder talks about like getting Jared Leto back on board, he was very gracious about Hero, which means like basically means Leto was a whiny bitch about it and was still pouting in the corner because no one liked his shitty aesthetic, his shitty delivery, his weird voice. Like, how do you follow Heath Ledger and think that Hot Topic Joker is the way to go? You know what I mean? Like, I would rather watch a version of that original Suicide Squad movie where they had a Heath Ledger Funko Pop stand-in instead of Jared Leto and just had Mark Hamill voice it. Like, brilliant.
Well, that's actually a really good idea.
Worlds ahead of where we are with Leto. But it's just very telling that like Leto is such a pouty baby. I would say that I would be even like mildly excited to see what Snyder's vision for him would be. But I feel like I have such a distaste for Jared Leto based on his entire like behind the scenes reveals, like everything that went on set there, and just his sour grapes post Suicide Squad, that I just don't want to see him ever again, like ever. Anytime I saw him in the fucking, what was it, the Harrison Ford futuristic robot fucking
Blade Runner.
I saw him in the Blade Runner sequel. Even there, I'm just like, oh, you know he's tarnished now. You know he walked around like with those fucking contacts in 12 to 24 hours a day minimum, just to be like in character. Like, he wore a blindfold everywhere went because he's a fucking cunt. I hate him. I want him to go away.
I know we're ragging on him, but he was fine in Blade Runner.
He was okay in Blade Runner. But I know what you mean. When you see him, it's like, oh, it's that fucking cunt that was in Sometimes you just need to. You go back
okay in it though. Sometimes I just need to go back and like watch that scene of Fight Club where he gets his teeth knocked out. I'm just like, oh god, it's okay. Rewind it one more time. I'm getting close.
We've got one more controversial topic to talk about, and then we're going to get into our main topics. We are moving at a good pace. I'm proud of all of us for not rambling too much. This next one, Oh, it's divisive. Gina Carano has said some off-color shit on social media about trans folks, and I don't know, probably everybody you love. They've, anything in life that you have any affinity for, she's probably said something off-color about, because it seems to just be her MO on social media. So there's been a petition going around to have her replaced with the frog lady in the rest of her scenes.
Brilliant.
So again, we're, like Derek said earlier, there's another topic today talking about, cancel culture and what the ramifications of that can sometimes be. And I'll have Derek start. What are your thoughts on this situation?
I thought it was going to be way less bad than it was. Turns out her opinions are pretty shitty on a lot of things.
They're pretty bad.
And that really was kind of a boner dethroner, because I really do, prior to,
Boner
really loved her. As
episode title.
Episode 8, the boner dethroner. We'll think about it. We all had second thoughts after we put butthole in the last one, so
yeah, boner might, lower the viewer count.
That is a quality fucking entry, though.
But anyway, it sucked. It was disappointing.
Continue, Kingslayer.
It sucked, right? Because you like her character, she's married to Henry Cavill, so you assume that she's like a great person. Turns out she has shitty opinions.
Oh, does that mean Henry Cavill thinks these things too?
It's possible, man. It's
No.
possible.
No, I love him.
I know.
Please don't sully my
We
vision
love
of him.
Henry. Henry. It's possible, but
I hope he's in line behind Timothy Olyphant at the glory hole. I got more knobs to slob. Get in here.
Oh man.
All right, it's not that bad, guys. All I'm saying is I want to see that Super Hawk.
I want to see a sweet hog. That's it.
I'm so sorry. Please continue, Derek.
No. Go on. Tell us about how you want to suck Superman's
Tell
cock.
us more about the hogs. Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say.
How many veins do you hope it has? What's the minimum amount of veins?
How angry do you want his pubic hair to look? Like when you picture it, is it more? Is it like a Count Olaf?
Is it like is it well cut? I was gonna go with Christopher Lloyd.
I feel like I already know what
Oh my god.
I feel like I already know what it looks like.
Can you imagine,
I've seen his chest hair?
Can you imagine, like you're, for some reason you're a single man in your 40s. You meet this nice older woman. She's like 45, maybe 48. It's only 8-year difference. You don't want to die alone. The end's coming. So you go on a date with her, and then things are going well. You go home, you get ready to hook up, and you pull her panties down, and all her pussy reminds you of is Christopher Lloyd. Could you imagine?
Marty.
That was a long walk for a very small payoff, and I'm sorry, but I had to get it out of my head, or it was never going to go anywhere.
Well, if you pull the pants down and you see Christopher Lloyd, then you should just buckle up to go 88 miles per hour.
I was going to say 88 strokes per minute.
Finish that bad boy off. All right, Derek. Before you were so rudely interrupted.
Sorry. So she has shitty opinions, right? Do I think that she should be fired? No, not really. I mean, I don't think that. Again, she's not saying anything that's like directly damning anyone. It makes me feel less like I want to see anything else she's in, right? But the fact that she's already in, I don't see the point in firing her. She didn't, again, she's not saying racial slurs. She's liking posts of people very regularly that have very shitty opinions. I know that she had put her pronouns on Twitter as beep beep boop boop or something, which was a joke made in poor taste. But again, it's not the most inflammatory thing that anyone has ever said about trans people. I don't know. Sometimes people who do good work have really shitty opinions. I just found out today that the guitarist from Deftones is an anti-vaxxer and a flat earther. So it's sometimes...
No.
Yeah, I know, right? But I don't want him to quit. I need them Deftones jams. So I don't know. I think she's a piece of shit, but it's not I'm not grabbing my pitchfork and wanting her to be fired. It'll just prevent me from really wanting to support her in the future, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, not for nothing, but flat earthers are the one group of people that I wish would fall off of a skyscraper lemming style. Just because
I can't get that out of my head. Like that song, like there's a hole in the earth has a whole new meaning now. He thinks it's really flat.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a hole in the earth. Like I can deal with Chino never taking one fucking singing lesson because it's endearing and I love him. But I can't deal with your guitar player being a flat earther, man. It makes those lazy, sludgy, bouncy rhythm sections way less tolerable to me. They lose a little bit of their simplistic charm, and I know that he's actually a simpleton. God damn it!
Oh shit! All right, Scott, how do you feel about Gina Carano and her poor comments?
I mean, it's difficult. I'm kind of on the fence about this because I hate continuity issues so much. Like, if they decide that they're gonna get rid of her, they better kill her off. I don't want to see someone else playing that fucking character. Like, you're like Filoni. I'm sorry. I know you're passionate. I know everything you do has a very distinct purpose. You have a singular vision. But if you're gonna have to get rid of her, you gotta kill her. I don't want to see someone else playing the same character because I can't get over it. I can't. It bothers me so much. I'm still hung up on Maggie Gyllenhaal being fucking Katie Holmes in The Dark Knight. I can't fucking do it. You know what I mean? Like, we could have
never got over
especially because she's a worse actress in like every way.
Yeah. Like, but also like I have a soft spot for Katie Holmes, and I hope she's doing okay wherever she is. I hope whatever room she's chained up in has soft carpeting.
Oh God, Katie Holmes, I love your stroke smile.
Yeah. I mean, like to me, like the transphobic stuff she did, like I think that's extremely insulting. I get that a lot of people are exhausted by left book kind of stuff, like people like you know, people who are offended by everything and people who want you to cater to every single whim. I don't think trans people are under that umbrella though. They're just asking for you to respect who they are as a human being, and that's something it takes literally no effort. You know, like you can tell me to call you Flower, and guess what, bro? You're Flower now. I don't give a fuck. I might fuck up.
Right.
There might be a transitional period for me where I'm still saying the wrong name or accidentally calling you, like, saying the wrong pronoun. But it's intent. Her intent is to make light of something that's not really funny. And her views on anti-mask and the political stuff where she's, you know, saying that there's election fraud, like all that shit's getting thrown out of court. Like it's not even a political statement to say that there has been no proof of voter fraud yet, because every single case that's been brought before the court has been thrown out. So either every Republican and Democratic judge who's seen these things so far is corrupt and somehow like on Sleepy Joe's side, or it's just there's nothing there. And she's just kind of like retweeting crazy conspiracy theories with no backing. And it's just the anti-mask stuff especially is dangerous because people could die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
for sure,
you might need to trim out some of the shit I just said. 'Cause I know that's probably a little too much, but it's like fuck her, but continuity is important.
I really appreciate that you took your selfish views of hating continuity errors into account for that conversation.
Yeah, well, no, like
no.
I understand why people would want her gone. I just say if you're gonna get rid of her, like I could give a shit less. Like I don't think she really adds anything to the show. She's not a like an integral part of this show in any way, shape, or form. It's cool to see her.
Right. She's
beautiful, and I liked the character she portrayed. And up until I knew about all this, I thought I liked her as a person as well. She seemed like all the behind the scenes stuff that I watched, all the docuseries, she seemed charming and well spoken and intelligent.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
We can definitely strike intelligent from the board now because she's a fucking waterhead. But
I love waterhead as an insult. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah, it just means
it's so simple.
It just means you got a tiny brain and all the extra space is just full of fluid. It's
just jiggling around up there, you fucking idiot.
Like
I mean, I you know, I'm on basically the same exact page as the both of you. I think more so to Scott's side, and by Scott's side, I mean like the slight difference where I'm like, I don't know, like this is really straddling the line of like me feeling like she does actually need to get fired over that shit. Like I don't know, I am on the fence. So yes, selfishly, I do also hate continuity errors. So kill her off, do it with CG if you have to. I don't care, just kill her off.
Put a picture in the Sarlacc.
But just hope Crate Dragon doesn't come by and eat that motherfucker and get you out. So on the other hand, the comments she made are real bad, and we sent the article and we were all reading them like, oh, what did she say? And I was like, oh no, she said that shit? Like, Jesus Christ, Gina Carano. Yeah, I real disappointed in her views, and not only that, but like just keep them to your fucking self. Like, why is it?
Yeah.
I don't. Why? Not only it's what makes me really kind of err on the side of like kind of pushing towards getting rid of her in this situation, because they're real. Like, you can think these shitty things, but to then put them out on Twitter, knowing that it's going to hurt the feelings and antagonize the people who you're making fun of, it seems malicious in a way that is not fucking cool. You're like the bully in fucking grade school who like waits for you to come outside and then takes your fucking lunch money and eats the food he bought with it in front of you. Like, it's just like an extra.
Did this happen to you, Chris?
No, that's my sense of humor was derived as an escape mechanism from being picked on. Thank you.
Same.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I had kids who wanted to mess with me in 4th grade, and then by the end of 4th grade, we were all best friends. Because I don't know. I guess I was lovable back then. I don't know what happened.
I just talk shit until I would
Just
get
a cute little
physical
scamp.
fights with people all the time. It was great.
Yeah. And then they'd leave you alone, and then you just try again with a new group of people. That's how you do it. It's just migrating constantly.
Oh no!
That's
no, not like that.
That's actually the circle of life.
The circle of cool.
I was waiting for sneak peek.
No, because it's essentially mocking a facet of your fan base, because everyone loves, like, most people enjoy Star Wars. Why would you pick on somebody who's enjoying, enjoying your show? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And even if they aren't fans, why the fuck, like, you get paid to keep your fucking mouth shut regarding all, specific details of plot threads on the show. You have a non-disclosure.
Right.
Why can't you just keep your fucking mouth shut the same way about stuff that you know is gonna offend or hurt somebody? You know what I mean?
Is gonna inflame situations on social media. Like, it's just a bad fucking idea.
I think when you get into the realm of policing thoughts, it's dangerous. You can't tell them they can't think a certain way, but you sure as shit can, like we said before, vote with your dollar and boycott the fucking anything they're a part of if you disagree with the way that they're portraying themselves and the way they're representing the medium that they're a part of.
So, and that's where I kind of like, I just don't like when we get into this territory of like, we want people to be quiet only when they're saying things that we don't like. I think that, like, you see it on the other side of the aisle, is that, like, people like basketball players will make some political stance, and like a newscaster on Fox is like, oh, just shut up and dribble. Well, they have a voice and they're allowed to use it, and they have to deal with the consequences of using their voice if they choose to. So I don't really like getting into that, like, oh, we'll just, be quiet. She should be able to say whatever she wants, but I also have the ability to go, well, I don't like what you said, so I'm not really going to support the things that you do moving forward. Like, it's just kind of a bad look. And I agree with everything you're saying. It's like you have a very fucking loud voice in comparison to, the average person. And so to say it to use it to say things that could potentially cause harm to people is obviously, like, it's irresponsible. But again, it's like, I just don't like saying, oh, well, why doesn't she just keep her mouth shut? Because we get into that territory where it's like, we only kind of ever want people to keep their mouths shut when it's people that are saying what we don't like. When people are saying things we do like, we want their voice to be louder. I think everybody should kind of have the same voice, and everybody should be able to react to it kind of just however they want. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. She should be allowed to say these things. She should also be ready for the consequences of saying those things.
Absolutely.
She should be ready for, it might not even be Disney's first thought to fire her for these thoughts on Twitter, but if enough people pressure Disney because she's offended that many folks, then she's got to deal with the loss of income and the consequences, in society.
Two things. I get where you're coming from, Derek, and I agree. I don't, like, again, I'm not saying that she shouldn't be able to say what she wants. She should. But I do think it's important that we make it clear for people who are listening that there is a difference between, like, somebody who's making a political statement about, like, systematic racism or police brutality, and somebody who's down punching and picking on a group of people that did nothing. I know that's what you meant. I know you weren't trying to, like, equate the two, but I just wanted to draw that line there for people who are listening so we don't get misconstrued. I know all three of us are on the same page. I want to make sure the listeners are, because this is, again, one of those very tricky topics where people will try to, they'll try to tell you what your intent is. They'll try to misrepresent things you say if they disagree with you, or if they think they do. Secondly, Disney literally had James Gunn sitting in the fucking corner for a year and a half.
Yeah.
over 5-year-old tweets, and this shit's going on a daily basis, and they haven't reacted to it. I just want to see fucking consistency. Either you give a shit or you don't. Don't fucking pick and choose and play favorites based on which is your hot commodity at the time. Yeah. Like, if Guardians of the Galaxy 2 had done as well as the first one, you think they would have had James Gunn sitting in the corner? You know what I mean?
No.
Like it's just
Mhm.
it's be transparent about your motivation. Like they come out,
And also, like, let's compare apples to apples. Like, his tweets were clearly supposed to be a joke. They were so over the fucking top offensively.
Yeah.
He was clearly trying way too fucking hard.
gross.
Mhm.
But yeah, they were. I mean, they were pretty gross jokes. They were kind of disgusting. But it's pretty obvious that those things were all meant to be funny. Whereas Gina Carano, I don't know, maybe she thinks those are funny to a very small subset of people, but they're fucking not, and she should suffer the ramifications for saying those things publicly.
Yeah.
All right, keeping in the vein of The Mandalorian, we're moving into our main topics at the hour mark. We're doing good. We're making good time.
We're gonna move into me taking a pee.
This
Actually,
is our
Oh well, that's
this is our
fine.
best
Should
lap
take a
here,
little
boys.
pee.
You realize that, right?
this is good. It's pretty good,
This
right?
first time we got to our entire week in review before Derek had to pee and before we got to our main topics. Under an hour,
We're
right?
doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we're doing right now is we're racing against the ghost of ourselves on the previous lap.
Yo,
They do all the fucking
don't-
Gran Turismo
Don't
games.
say that, man. That reminds me of that story about that guy whose dad died when he was little, and then he would race his father's ghost car. You ever heard that story?
No.
Well, we're gonna Jim Henson this. We're all gonna have a good cry off podcast.
Oh
And then-
yeah, please
and,
off
and
podcast.
then come back and we'll talk about it next week, or maybe we won't.
All
Or
right,
maybe
cool.
we'll share our thoughts in the group chat.
All right, I'm ready to look into it.
In this time where we normally would do talking shit, I think we've decided that talking shit works better when all three of us are on the same page, equally hating something.
Yeah.
So I would like to take a moment to show for HBO Max again, if I can. I was honestly blown away to see that they had like Looney Tunes and shit on there. Like there's a whole bunch of shit. Like, I do think it is kind of fucked up that Sesame Street went from being on PBS, public free TV, to being on
To HBO
yeah,
Max.
where it's like, I mean, the
Yeah.
budget's better. But come on, you know what I mean?
Kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, shilling for HBO Max aside, I can also use this quiet time to go, hey guys, you can check us out on Twitter at the Schmeg Nerd. You can come like our Facebook page at facebook.com/thecynicalnerd. You can ask us questions by using the hashtag AskTCN on Twitter. You can send us an email by emailing us at questions@thecynicalnerd.com. And I'm glad I was able to get that out of the way while Derek's hopefully taking a pee and not a shit.
Now, I'm gonna mess with him because he's not gonna have any idea what we're talking about. When he comes back, I'm gonna be in the middle of a bit, and you have to act like it's the funniest thing you've ever heard. So he's gonna be like, "What the fuck did I miss?"
Oh, you better say something funny because I can't fake laugh like that. It's very obvious when I'm you know.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna say something ridiculous. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna train him like through ABA to pee faster. So he's always gonna think he missed a banger, that he wasn't a part of something really funny.
Okay.
But also there's a chance that he'll listen back to this podcast and then know what the plan is.
That's true. Oh, you're right. Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have to for this one. We'll have to keep it where I'll do my best. I'll take my glasses off and cover my face, and that'll probably work out great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, before he comes back, so once again to remind you guys, we have 3 topics we're going through a little more in depth this week. Mandalorian episode 3, season 2, episode 3. The Lighthouse, which I've just witnessed today, I guess is the word I'll use.
Real sorry about that, bro.
And Last of Us 2. And we have thoughts about... So Last of Us 2 might seem like it came out of nowhere. Obviously, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know we've been discussing it for a while.
Oh, here it comes.
Derek...
Woo-wee! Sigourney Weaver's puckering butthole!
All right.
Yeah, it's like
This is a good one.
Like an old timey prospector. Like he just strucks over, like, woo! Sigourney Weaver's puckering butthole.
I bet it has the beak like a squid's doing.
Yeah. I feel like if I saw that, I would come harder than I ever did. Be like my Magnum Strocus.
Oh man,
Oh,
Magnum
fuck.
Strocus. Jesus.
Oh boy, you really missed a good one. Fuck. All right. So we're getting right into The Mandalorian season 2, episode 3. And I said I was going first. And I said I was going first because boy, oh boy, did I fucking love this episode. Let me give you an inkling of why. 1, giant Star Wars fan. No, I'm kidding. 1, the show feels like it finally kicked off. Like we had the first 2 episodes. The first one, obviously, they sort of set the stage for where we are and where they want to go. But the rest of episode 1 and 2 all felt like they were middling. We're kind of hanging out in this universe, just having more adventures. This episode really felt like shit kicked up a notch. And I have to say, like, from start to finish, it fucking moved. Like the episode starts with them re-entering an atmosphere, which I think is something we haven't really seen much in Star Wars besides, like, I don't know, episode 3 where they crash the cruiser into Coruscant. But like I feel like re-entry, it felt like a NASA mission as opposed to like a Star Wars ship on re-entry. And then it went from there, and we got so many cool things this episode. We got the Mon Cala, we got the Quarrens in the episode who turned out, surprise, the guys that look like they're from Pirates of the Caribbean, Davy Jones Locker, are bad guys. And then we got
all their faces are like this.
Yeah, they just look fucking mad, and they all got tentacles, and we know what you want to do with those tentacles. And get away from my butthole, corn.
I feel like if we lived in a galaxy far, far away, and you said something like that, you'd be canceled for it. You say something about an entire alien species. You just single them all.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I did. I just broad brushed the whole species.
Do better, Chris. Do better.
But I don't want to get into too many specifics because these are general thoughts. I loved this episode, start to finish. I feel like it was an action-packed thrill ride. It was a lot of really badass fighting happened in this episode, and then the topper on the fucking lore cake that is Star Wars sometimes was Bo-Katan Kryze from House Kryze, I forget how you pronounce it, making her live action debut, a character that has been in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and if you are a Star Wars fan who has seen those things, you know a great deal about her. Her storyline has been expanded upon quite heavily. So to see that, and not only to have her show up, but to have her, that's the woman who voice acted her in the series. She just happens to also look surprisingly similar to the character, Katie Sackhoff. And I thought it was done wonderfully. Her costume design looked exactly the same as in live action stuff. It gives me very great hope for Ahsoka Tano's eventual debut. And I have to say, before I hand off the reins to Scott to see how he felt about it, I didn't think Bo-Katan appearing was going to make me feel anything, but I know I've joked about like okay.
Sorry.
You went 6 to midnight, huh?
Continue.
So little I didn't think
yes,
I know I've been joking.
Makes. Yes.
I know I've been joking about like crying actual nerd tears about seeing Ahsoka Tano. I felt emotional things about seeing Bo-Katan show up on the screen. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the giant Star Wars nerd in me. I'm like, oh my god, her sister is Satine, who is a love interest to Obi-Wan. She's been in the same room as Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like this is exactly what I've always wanted Disney to do when they took over Star Wars, which was to meld these things that I love together and have them cross over in a really satisfying way. And once again, I think they did that. They pulled off that Star Wars stunt very well, where if you know who she is, it's a huge payoff. And if you don't know who she is, they give you enough backstory about who she is to make her arc in the episode meaningful and make sense. And now that I've rambled incoherently for quite some time, Scott, how did you feel about episode 3?
We just doing like a brief overview?
Sure, if that's what I was aiming for.
Right,
I apologize, I went so long.
I think so far this is one of my favorite episodes. I think when Bryce Dallas Howard directs episodes, they tend to be like usually some of my favorite of the season. Like season 1, like the villagers defending the village against the AT-AT was incredible. We kind of get a similar kind of like not a similar narrative, but we get like kind of a similar vibe here. Like there's so much being introduced, there's so many emotional connections we see in this episode. Like first of all, Frog Lady reuniting with Frog Man. Oh my god! Like I didn't think I was gonna give a shit because I was so sick of her shit at the end of last week's episode.
Yeah,
but
I felt the same way.
You instantly feel for them, and like just there was a lot to it. I'm not as familiar with the character as you are. I did read up a little bit. Once I saw her in the show, I was like, well, fuck, I gotta go back and watch Clone Wars now. I gotta sit through this 7 seasons of backstory. I need to know more about this character because she's gonna become a pivotal part of the Mandalorian. It's clear. Like not only was this our jump off point for season 2, it's kind of giving us the first glimpse of what feels like a much bigger arc for this entire series in a way.
Yeah,
like this is the first time you were realizing that the Mandalorian is part of a religious sect. It's not the way all Mandalorians operate, or he's realizing that at least. And we're seeing what's the groundwork for what looks like it's gonna be like, a reuniting of the tribes of Mandalore, and taking back the Darksaber, taking the fight back to their home planet, and reclaiming what's theirs. Which may be like one of the one of the bigger themes of the series, which it seems like it could be really cool to see it start small and build up to something that is more like a grand scope where there's a lot more at stake than just the Mando and Baby Yoda's life.
Baby Yodes. Derek, how'd you feel about this episode?
I'm super conflicted about this episode. Really,
What?
really conflicted. Yeah, genuinely. Let me start with the things that I liked about it. First of all, before you even said it, one thing that was like I loved Frog Lady and Mr. Frog's reunion. It was really sweet. Like, it was really tender. Like, I don't know. Like, I like felt something from it.
As much as I hate to say it, it would not have been that impactful if we didn't know what she went through to get here. So as much as it was filler last episode, it's partly the reason you cared so much when she got.
They could have done it
better.
I
agree.
Where she was going.
I agree. And also, Mr. Frog clearly could not wait to just pump his cum into those eggs, because it was like the next scene, there were tadpoles. It's like they show up, they hug, and he just fucking dumps right into the tub so that they can be born.
Oh, thank God you're here. I've been holding on to this massive fucking lizard.
We need to get inside right now.
He is one...
Pop the top on them eggs, baby.
One light breeze away from a Kunami. Yeah.
Oh, good.
But Derek, just in general, I thought that the episode, again, speaking of the things that I liked about it, it was very visceral. From when they... the landing in the very beginning feels like you're there. You can almost like feel the fucking ocean splashing up on you. Just like, when they're trying to right the ship and everything, it was very like intense. And I like that in shows and movies when you kind of forget that you're watching a show for a second. The things I didn't like about it were, I first watched it when I came home from work on Friday and I was tired and I was kind of like limp dick about it. Like, it wasn't the worst, but not the greatest either. And then after
you're kind of like Mr. Frog after you dropped that tsunami.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But after you had, I had no idea that anybody in this character was like anyone already in the lore. So when you had posted that, YouTube video to us, and I watched it, I rewatched it again today, and I liked it a little better now, knowing that there was like backstory to these characters. But a part of me is like, I don't want to have to watch hours and hours and hours of the Clone Wars and Rebels in order to feel something for the rest of the episode. So I just hope like that thing was unique to this episode, or at least unique to me with this episode, and that I don't feel like I'm missing out the rest of the season if I don't watch that stuff.
So you're mad because it made you feel like you're missing out on something. Is that that's what am I interpreting that right?
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. And it wasn't bad. Like I said, I'm just conflicted. It was kind of like, it didn't quite hit it for me, but I don't know Bo-Katan. Like, this is my first time I ever saw her.
So it's going to happen again, because Ahsoka Tano's coming.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
At least one more time.
Yeah. So that was my only real gripe about it. And we've talked a lot about how you shouldn't have to sit through dozens of hours of something before it gets good or makes sense. So hopefully, I don't know.
So does that mean you disagree that I thought that even if you didn't know anything about her, like her arc was still fine? Like,
I do.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. Like, it just didn't, like, speaking as someone who's never seen any of it. And now obviously I know like the like topical, her background story, the topical version of it. But it's still not like I didn't watch that show like you did and like go through all of that with those characters. So it's still like just like reading a Wikipedia article or something. But it wasn't as like, her character was cool. She was just magnificent to look at, of course, but it wasn't like, she didn't take me off my feet until I knew what she was doing there and why she was there.
Sorry guys, we just had a little bit of a technical blip here with one of our recordings. So if what I'm able to do after for editing does not work, we're going to have a shorter thing go up where it's just going to be our main topics, and then we'll figure out a way to make up for that midweek this week. Anyway, we're in the midst of talking about The Mandalorian season 2, episode 3, which is called The Heiress, and deals with Bo-Katan showing up. I was just I'm just jizzing all over my mouse and keyboard at the first live action appearance of this character, and I was in the middle of talking about how her arc in that episode really still kind of works for me, apart from knowing who she is. And I mean, There's a couple things that it works for. Like I said, it shows us that he's part of a religious sect, and those questions were there since the beginning of the series, right? Like he's never taken his helmet off. But if you've watched anything else or seen anything else Star Wars related, you know that that's not the case for most Mandalorians.
Mm-hmm.
So the mystery of like, why does he behave in this manner? And honestly, it was satisfying to hear her. She actually said, "You're a child of the Watch," and basically it was like a knowing, like,
Yeah.
oh, you're with the crazies. Like,
Yeah.
There's a real Red State situation, 'cause so obviously she knows who Kevin Smith is.
Yeah.
I really liked that reveal. And there's a couple things like that in the episode. I mean, we got to see the genocidal Baby Yoda's, his wonderment at seeing those eggs hatch into tadpoles. And also, that's probably the first real racking of guilt he's ever felt in his life.
He was like,
popping.
Fuck.
He was popping those eggs like Tic Tacs, bro. He was. I mean, there's not a whole lot more that I can say about the episode other than that I really felt like the story has kicked into high gear. The episode felt like it was moving at a high pace the entire time. It starts off with the atmosphere reentry. We go through this kind of great adventure where the Mon Cal is trying to piece together his ship with, I don't know, ropes, because that's a fucking thing. And we get to watch him have all these awesome battles this whole episode, and until they actually have to save an Imperial cruiser from crashing into the sea. And it came off as fucking really fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super excited for next episode.
I hated the music. That's another one. I hated the music.
You hated
Felt
the
like
music.
I was watching Blade, like with Wesley Snipes, dude. It was like weird techno. Oh,
Blade
man,
with Wesley Snipes?
Yeah. Was that Wesley Snipes?
Yeah.
No.
Who the fuck?
No. My stupid brain heard the words Blade Runner because
okay.
we mentioned that earlier, and I was like, "Wait, what are you doing?"
Oh, no.
Like, no,
Are we in
it's
some weird-
dude, it's definitely Snipes.
Are we in? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
Quick question. Does anyone know what a Dianaga is?
No.
They are, I believe, we see a giant Dianaga in the hull of the ship when Baby Yoda is almost sacrificed. I can't confirm or deny. I know in Star Wars canon they usually live in like the sewer systems, like in human waste, essentially, like water and poo poo. So it's like the entire population of Louisiana. In Star Wars canon. Yeah, I know.
I was gonna say so. It's like Gina Carano, but you got me.
Yeah, you like that one?
It's very good.
But it looked like Dianaga to me, and they were an enemy type in to throw it back to Star Wars: Shadow of the Empire. In the video game, they're the only enemy type you fight in the sewers, aside from some stormtroopers. And they are obviously they're in the book when Dash Rendar makes his does like his big break in to the Prince's palace. I'm not sure if that's what it was. That's what it looked like. And I think that if I can confirm that next week, I'll be super excited because that's a really cool, deep little piece of lore to like an Easter egg to slip in there for longtime fans.
Right.
Yeah.
You're talking about that little squid thing that he was like at the very end of the episode. Okay. Yeah.
Well, the very end of the episode, but then I think there was also a bigger one of that in the boat where
the thing they kicked Baby Yoda into.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Yeah. Big tooth pussy creature.
Yeah.
Right. Dianaga,
that's actually what George Lucas called it originally.
Yeah, big
tooth pussy.
They were like, George, we've talked about this.
Yeah. You gotta dial it back, man. These are kids' movies.
You're taking the kids on a tour through Skywalker Ranch. You can't talk like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this episode really served to get me excited for the next episode. And I can't tell if I feel like Ahsoka Tano's showing up in the next episode, because it sure felt like it.
I think that's what you want, but we both know Dave Filoni is directing episode 5 this season. So it's probably gonna be episode 5.
We did talk about that. There was a lot of conversation about when she was going to show up, and Ahsoka being literally a creation of him. She's probably going to show up in episode 5.
Right. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. I figured like she would be teased at the end of next episode, and then featured in the following episode.
I think we get our first look of her in maybe not even her full face, but like we'll know it's her
Yeah,
from the robe and the skin tone of that chin sticking out.
right.
We'll probably get like a glimpse of her, or maybe they'll do a reveal like they did to Boba Fett. But we're not spreading them cheeks this week, boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not getting the full insertion.
I mean, in any other context, you saying Rosario Dawson and body paint would be enough for, me going 6 to midnight myself, so.
Gross.
Gross, thank you.
You're all welcome. Okay, so Mandalorian Season 2. We have 2 more topics, 2 more big boys to cover, and I'm not sure which one I want to do first. I'm just kidding, I want to talk about The Lighthouse.
Excellent. Great.
I've watched this film just today, just a mere few hours ago, and I have lots of things I think about it. Derek, I want you to talk about it first.
Absolutely not. You guys already know how I feel about it. I like the movie. I want to hear what you think about it.
I want you to set the stage.
All right. Okay. The Lighthouse is throwback to classic horror. We're talking classic. This thing is shot in black and white, mostly just black, actually. It's in, I don't even know what the dimensions are called, but you're watching a square. All right.
It's called unwatchable dimensions.
It's
Scott, do you remember a lot of people jerking off in a shed in classic horror movies? Failing to.
I believe it's called Letterbox. I believe that format is called Letterbox for cunts.
It is. Look, let me just say something. It's very artisan for artisan. I'm not hiding.
I'm sorry. I didn't ask you to go first so that
so good.
I didn't ask you to go first so that we can interject constantly. I apologize.
No, it's perfectly okay. It's all right. Nothing that anyone could say is ever going to change my opinion on this excellent fucking movie. You feel the sense of claustrophobia, of paranoia.
Cotton.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about it. It's great. You just got to watch it. Robert Eggers made it. The other movie he did is called The Witch. People call it The Vitch because it's stylized with 2 V's. His whole thing is he kind of like fixates on a very specific time in a very specific place and really hones in on like superstition, lore, stuff like that of that time period. So with The Vitch, it was like witches during...
Sorry.
It's people know what you're talking about when you say it like that.
Yeah. What is his name again? Robert what?
Robert Eggers. Eggers. Okay. I don't know if it might be Eggers, but it's definitely Eggers, right?
I thought his thing was wasting hours of your time and then spitting in your face for the final scene of the movie and giving you no reward for the time you've invested.
How is it not a reward? I don't understand.
What was in the fucking light, Derek?
Show me. It's truth. It's whatever you want it to be. That's the thing. It's interpretable.
I want it to be a clear, concise narrative.
Yeah, you call it.
I know you guys are used to movies that do all the thinking for you, but sometimes you just have to form an opinion. No, it's called fucking critical analysis, Scott. All right, it's a great ending.
No, it's not.
You call it interpretive. I call it lazy as fuck.
Yeah, it's not that our feeble minds can't wrap around the. It's just like, to me, it's just like, well, fuck, we dug this hole. We literally buried somebody in it. We buried. How the fuck do we finish this? Like, dude, like the first half of this movie, like it had moments that were kind of like weird and quirky. Like I've said it before, it reminds me of like a 70s sitcom without the laugh tracks. Like if I Love Lucy didn't have the laugh track, think about how creepy and weird that show would be. And parts of this, like the parts where they're interacting in the social space, remind me of that. But there is in the first half of the movie this feeling of dread that builds. You can make an argument that the claustrophobia is in part due to the way it's shot, the fact that it's such a tight fucking frame all the time.
That's true.
But like I feel like it was this incredible buildup that just didn't pay off for me. And it's not that it didn't pay off because I couldn't put 2 and 2 together. I couldn't figure out what but it felt like it was building to something and it just didn't get there.
So I understand what he was going for. I also, when I said I had watched it today, you were like, "Why are you?" That's a really heavy movie to watch at like 2 p.m. on a Sunday. And I was thinking, you know what? I do have to be in a specific mood to watch this, and that mood is fucking depressed. I'm kidding. It's a little too harsh. The sense of I absolutely felt Okay, maybe it's not too harsh, but the sense of dread this guy talked about, I absolutely felt. Like I said, he's a good director. I just didn't like what he directed.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe, Robert Pattinson, wonderful actors. They did a really great job. I mean, there's the sense of dread and paranoia that just consistently builds and builds and builds. It makes the movie difficult to watch, but not because I actively disliked most of it, which I did, but because it makes you uncomfortable, you know, and that's what he's going for. And I get that. I really do. I understand like Scott said, the letterboxing. You were making a joke about that being a reason it's called. That was a choice specifically to do that, I'm sure, to make us feel trapped on this island with nobody there. The scene where he kills you never hurt a seabird or whatever.
Never
The
kill a
scene where
seabird.
he
Bad luck to
literally
kill a seabird.
he whips
Come on, guys.
he whips that fucking seagull against that rock like it's Jesus Christ, like it's a skip it or something around his ankle. Like he's just bashing it against so hardcore that it becomes comical. There are some weird choices that I have a hard time even understanding on an artistic level. Like the mood, of course, the setting, I kind of was annoyed that I felt like I was squinting at an eye exam chart the entire time to see what was going on. But I get it. I did really understand what he was going for. The farting.
That's just good old tootin', baby. That's just good times.
It's just tootin', rootin' tootin'.
Once again, I understand. Because he specifically mentions it, right? When they have their full, like, fuck it, let's have it all out.
fucking farts!
Exactly. And when he said that, I went, okay, but there was plenty of other shit to use to base your anger at him off of. And the farting was such a weird choice for me because every time he did it, I was like,
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm a child. So farting's still funny to me as a 33-year-old
100%.
adult
It was
man.
supposed to be. And let me just say that. It was supposed to be. Like, that was the difference between the Vitch and this, is that, like, the Vitch was really just heavy throughout. And I actually still liked that one, but not nearly as much. But there were really parts in this one where you kind of mix the dread with a little bit of humor, and it doesn't always hit. I get that. I did love the part where he freaks out. He does the hark and goes on this tangent for like 2 minutes. And Robert Pattinson's just like, all right, have it your way. I like your cooking. Just like little things like that, like I thought were nice.
I thought, by the way, that scene is fantastic.
It's
when
so
he's
good.
when
It's
he's
so
literally
flawless.
cursing him to the depths of the sea for like, I don't know, 2 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Just I keep going like, all right, we
And it's
fucking
all
get it.
one shot. It never ends. It's all just Defoe, high and tight, right here. Just
The
perfect
problem. So here's I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, no,
My
it's okay.
biggest issue with this film, we have Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, like I said, doing a masterclass job at acting with the stuff they are given. They are, however, overshadowed by the biggest character in this film, which is pretentiousness. And literally, you said like artisan fartisan, and I know you were kidding, but it is like hey, look at me, I'm making a classic horror film. And then you're like, okay, cool, I see what you're going for. Then why is there a mermaid vagina right smack in the middle? Like, they just show it. Like, they have
not good.
scenes where they show him finding the mermaid, and I was like, okay, she's got nice nips. I can be down with this scene.
and then you got that mermaid puss. You got that
And then-
mussy, dude.
Later on, he has that nightmare.
Musty.
Full muss, dude. Eggers goes full mussy, bro.
Would it be Mermussy?
He really did. And I just have to say, beautiful design on the mussy.
No, let me just say, listen, I was not kidding when I said it's artisan fartisan. It is pretentious. It is, it presents itself as high art. It takes itself very seriously, probably too seriously sometimes. I'm not arguing that. But like for me, and when people don't like it, like, let me just be real. When people don't like this movie, I totally get it. I get it 100%. I just happen to really enjoy it. It hit all the right notes for me. But it's very, very, very highbrow.
Were all those notes the brown notes?
All brown notes. All just toots and mussies, dude. Nothing but toots and mussies all the way down.
Episode 8, Toots and Mussies.
Oh my god. I think, I don't know, man. Like, it's, again, like I thought it started off strong. It wasn't what I expected it to be, though. Like the trailers I saw painted it as if it was gonna be like this just tense, never-ending build of dread. But it didn't, like you said, like the farting took me out of it a lot. Like a lot of their performances came off as comedic to me. And I just was not anticipating that. Like that's why I said like it seemed like a sitcom without a laugh track, like just a bad, uncomfortable, weird conversations. And I get that that's part of it. But it just I don't know, man. I don't know how you start off that strong and like you're building this moment, this tense moment where like they're trapped on the island. They don't know when help's coming. Like they've been trapped in the rain for days and days and days. And somehow like you transition to like burying Willem Dafoe in the dirt as like a sight gag. I thought of like Step Brothers when Will Ferrell's burying John C. Reilly. He's like, "Shut up! You're I'm burying you." Like, quiet. Like I'm just like it's so over the top. Like it takes itself seriously until it doesn't at all. And I'm just like, where did all that? Where did all that tension? Where did all that like you had me, but where did it go?
That's the thing. Like I know they tried to cut the tension a little bit as like a reprieve to the audience with the stuff like the farts. But to me, I'm like, if you're going to go just full bore, like just make it uncomfortable the entire time. Cause even if it's hard to watch, like I appreciate the fact that you just made this fucking thing that's difficult to get through.
Yeah.
And some of it really is like, I actually like the Willem Dafoe scene. Like getting buried while he's fucking trying to talk. Like I was like, oh, this is
because the sand is
creepy.
like in his fucking mouth and eyes and like I don't know.
It made me feel real weird on the inside. But that's how like the first 20 minutes of the movie made me feel. And then he farted for the first time, and I was like, what? Like where the fuck did that come from?
So basically, the farts ruined an otherwise enjoyable experience for you.
Honestly, at least 90% of my problems with this movie are the fucking farts that they pepper throughout. Let's make this the Chris cut where we just yank all the farts out of it.
No, it is. It's very interpretable, and most people generally hate highly interpretable movies all the time. I hate them a lot of the times. For whatever reason, I really like this one. I felt like they were building this tension between the two characters where like they're both lying constantly to one another. We, the viewer, have no idea what's true and what isn't. Willem Dafoe is like gaslighting Robert Pattinson, saying like, "Oh, I didn't destroy the boat. You just destroyed the boat." And there's been so much lying happening throughout the movie that at that point, like me as a viewer, I'm like, well, did he? Like, or did they just present to us that Willem Dafoe did when it really was Rob Pat? Like, who fucking knows? And so I thought that like it gave you enough substance to decide for yourself whatever it was that Rob Pat saw in the lighthouse at the end. So for me, it was truth. The more that his character tells the truth to Willem Dafoe, the more crazy they get. They start drinking like oil and shit just to get drunk. So that to me was like him ultimately accepting the truth of himself, which killed him. He's kind of slowly going more and more mad as he's admitting that like he watched his dad die. No, actually he killed his dad, and now he escaped with a fake alias and blah blah blah. And all the while he's getting crazier and crazier. And I felt like that was the culmination of him admitting to himself, "Wow, I'm a scumbag. I'm a bad fucking person, and I can't run away from this." So that's how I interpreted the ending. Yeah,
no, I mean, again, I got the same things from it, and I liked the slow burn to madness a lot. I did. I just the movie felt like it. I felt like the director thought unnecessarily, I might add, that he had to like break the tension every so often and pull me out of it, and that is what ultimately ruined most of it for me. That also the seeing the truth or whatever at the end, I would have been cool if he saw that light and was horrified at what he saw, and then as he fell down the stairs, he did not die from it. People showed up to relieve them, and he had to like come to terms in front of these people with all the bad shit he had just done and see himself for what he is. Like just him falling and then the movie cutting, I was like, oh, fuck you. That was like, to me, that was just such a lazy, like, I was kind of kidding. I don't need to see what's in the fucking light, but like, he just falls down the stairs and the credits roll. Like,
so again, like as far as interpretation goes, I'm sorry to cut you off, but there's the theme of, that he's in a Sisyphean hell, and that he essentially becomes Thomas Wake when he falls from the lighthouse, and that he's essentially now Willem Dafoe's character. Because as he falls, he snaps his leg, which is the same leg that Thomas Wake has been limping on the whole time. Never confirmed or anything, but it's something that's kind of played around with.
So I hate that I'm about to fall into the trope of something that you said to me earlier, where you said, do you really need everything explained to you? I would have loved if they showed him wake up and he was Thomas.
Yeah. No, I get that.
It's just even a split second. Even if it was like they showed him fall down the stairs, and they like very camera focusing on that leg that was broken, and then the I'm sorry, I'm fucking stammering over here. The shot cut to the same leg, but in bed, and then he wakes up and he's Thomas, and then black. That's fine for me too, because you're like, what the fuck was that? But I would still have gotten
something to chew on. I get you. I get it. That's fair.
Ultimately, I thought it was one of the weirdest movies I've ever fucking seen, and I did not. I will never watch it again.
Also fair.
And overall, I would never recommend it to anybody that they should watch it either. But I like I said, I see what they were going for, and some of that stuff, despite not liking it, worked. Just it's such a weird thing to describe because like I didn't like it. I actively disliked it, in fact, but I can still say it was well shot, and like the director, fuck, did he continue to nail home his point that he was trying to get across about the paranoia and all this shit. And there was choices in that movie that I just fucking hated. That's all I have to say about it, I guess.
I would absolutely recommend it to people. I will continue to do so.
You recommended it to me, and I'm still mad about it.
You're going to die mad about it. Because
I know we always rate the podcast, but how would you guys rate the film? Give me 4 out of 5.
5 out of 5, Willem Dafoe cum shots gooping through the grates.
Oh, no, I forgot about that.
Now you don't. Now you remember. You're welcome.
I would give this film 1 out of 5 high school play curtain mermaid mussies.
Yeah, I would give it 1 out of 5 lonely, uncomfortable, cold handies in a shack by the river. Or a shack by the shoreline.
In a van down by the river.
Like, can you imagine, like, how do you even beat off when you just hear the world outside tearing the building down around? Like, how do you
Maybe that's how he got there. That's what brought him there. Who knows?
I was going to say, he obviously, he couldn't finish, right? That was like, he like fell over upset that he couldn't tug one out.
You can imagine the chase.
Nor'easter.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Anyway, if there are no final thoughts on that thing, we have our last subject here, which is The Last of Us 2. And I said this earlier, but it might feel out of context to some of you who are just tuning in. We've been, Scott and I finished this, I think, when it came out. Scott had started playing through it again a second time. Derek just finished this, and we all have thoughts on it. And I'm not going to go first. Scott, if you're okay with it, I'd like you to... General overview first, just like we do for Mandalorian episodes. What you liked about the game. And then I want Derek to dive into what he didn't like.
I mean, we kind of just talked about a movie that whether or not you think it's an enjoyable experience, it's an experience, right? It's something, like, it may not be like, what I'll say is The Last of Us Part 2 was not the story I wanted. It wasn't the game I expected. When the leaks first came out, where they, showed us what was going to happen to Papa Joel, and when all these little spoilers had leaked out, I had it in my head that I was going to hate this game. It was going to be like some try-hard, transparent, thinly veiled nonsense. And within my first few hours playing the game, I was just blown away. Like, it wasn't what I wanted. I was upset by them killing off Joel, but then I became I don't know, man. I became just drawn in. Like, it was one of these things that was at points actively painful to get through. It was upsetting. It makes you question every decision you make as you play with both characters back and forth. There's no clear. Everything's in a morally gray area with it. And it's hard to talk about as an overall without digging into it, to be honest with you. It wasn't the story I wanted, but by the end of it, I have to say, I think it was narratively one of the most interesting games I've ever played. I was not expecting half of the things that... I was not expecting half the shit that happened to happen the way that it did. I can agree that maybe the way it was presented was a little bit hard to digest. If we had jumped back and forth maybe more frequently, instead of just finish a campaign as player A, finish a campaign as player B, maybe it would have been more time to get more attached to those characters as it stretched out over a longer period of time. You feel like the way it was presented may have been not the best way to present it, but the story overall, man, I thought was really well done, and I loved it.
Yeah. Before we let Derek kind of dig his claws into it, I saw the leaks come out, and I think I remember seeing you post something about it, about how you didn't like them. I actively avoided looking up what they were. Typically I can't fucking help myself, but for this game I did not want to know, so I didn't know going into it what they were going to do. And there are a couple points, and like you said, it's difficult to kind of discuss the game without going over specific instances of things. But as an example, something that sticks out to me a lot in this game, besides the story being one that I agree 100%, it was not the story I expected, nor even the one I wanted. But ultimately, it was a story that I found very compelling, and overall, as a theme of everybody's done bad shit, and everybody's viewpoint is different, but ultimately, that doesn't make somebody evil. Like, you have to live, it's like the trope of like walk a mile in someone else's shoes, that kind of shit, and like watching these people kind of work through their fucking demons as you control them and actively do shit you don't want to do, but you have to because there's no other way forward. Like, you're gonna have to hit that fucking button, whether you like it or not, to get through this scene. You have two choices: you can turn the fucking game off and never finish it, or you can watch this horrible thing that they're making you do. And it makes you feel like an accomplice or a witness to a murder scene. And in some instances, actually, is what they have you do.
It's worse when you have to kill dogs, man. That's the worst part.
That's pretty bad. Yeah. And it like, just a developer aside, like having those people like call out rando names of like dogs that you kill or people that you take down is really effective in making you feel like a giant bag of shit.
Yeah.
It meant nothing to me. It meant nothing to just laughable name. Karen! I'm like, all right, good. Who cares? Bye, Karen. She ran at me with a fucking baseball bat with a spike through it. What was I supposed to do? I don't care about Karen.
That's so out of character for Karen. Usually she just leaves a scathing Yelp review. You know what I mean? Like, that's so...
Yeah, that's her baseball bat with a spike through it. It's just
surprisingly,
that 1 out of 5 Yelp review.
It's how Negan named Lucille. Yeah. Her bat was named Yelp. Right, I gotcha. Yeah.
Surprisingly, she still had that short bob haircut, even in the apocalypse. I'm not sure how. The one point I was going to make, though, before Derek goes, is there's the sort of like diverting my expectations. They kind of build up to the moment. There's the whole thing of like what Joel did to save Ellie in the first game. The whole like first half of the game, you think Ellie doesn't know, and at some point mid game, they reveal to you that she's known for years, and in fact has been holding it against him, and it's part of the reason she feels this rage to avenge him because of the guilt she feels towards pushing him out of her life in those last couple of years, and she had just tried to start mending the fucking wound when he was murdered. And when it wasn't like a mind-blowing, like, it's been you the whole time, like, kind of reveal, but it fucking blew me away because I was like, oh my God, this whole half of this game, I thought she had no fucking idea, and the moment she finds out was going to be one of those emotional payoffs that we're looking forward to. And in fact, that's not the fucking case, and it recolors and recontextualizes the entire first half of the game, and it recolors the rest of the game too when you're playing as Abby. And I thought that was just one example of the storyline doing things in a unique way that I haven't seen done in a video game, and in fact made the story so compelling to me that I felt like I had no choice but to get through the entire fucking thing, eat up every portion of story content. But I'm rambling. Derek, how did you feel about it?
I actually feel like most of what happened was super predictable with knowing that Joel dies. So I feel like if I hadn't known that, I wouldn't have started... Because, all right, let me just start here. Like, for instance, you hear that Joel gets killed. And so what's the first thing you think? Well, who kills him and why? And so, like, immediately for me, the first thing that I thought was, well, somebody who has a family member that Joel killed. And so initially when I started off and they kind of don't tell you why Abby's mad, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm wrong. And then like 10 hours into the game, I was like, oh, no, he killed her dad. Like, that's exactly what it was. Same thing, you start off the game, there's like this distance between Ellie and Joel. That's where my mind went to initially. How did the last game end? With Joel lying to her face. When it starts off and they have this like gap between them, it's like, all right, well, Ellie found out, obviously. Those aren't the reasons, those aren't the things that kind of made me not have the best experience with this game. But it just felt like, let me say the things that I really liked about it. The environments were incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's the same thing that was great about the first game, and it was even better in this one. Graphics, mocap, everything was fucking A1.
Yeah.
Voice acting, incredible. Like, I can't think of one voice actor that, like, just sucked. And you always have at least a couple in any video game. They were all, really, though. I mean, they were great.
Yeah.
That being said, like, a lot of the only character to me, everybody seems like they've been on SSRIs for too long. Everybody except for Abby. Like, it takes you 3 hours to get one clip of ammo for your fucking pistol, but apparently there's Lexapro everywhere because nobody has any personality or soul in their voice. Nobody
Jesus
is more
Christ.
guilty of that than fucking Owen. Every time he talked, like, there could be fires, everyone explosions. He's just like, Abby, we have to get out of here. It's like, oh my God, dude, like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? That just felt like every character to me. Like, they all felt flat. Even Ellie, most of the time. When she really needed to have like an impacting moment, she was good. But just in the passing point A to point B things where she's talking with whatever her name was, her girlfriend, none of it was ever convincing. She just sounded like she was sedated. I will say that I did have a bit of an affinity for Abby. Her storyline was good.
It tricked you, didn't it?
In what capacity?
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm
No.
a fucking dick. We talked very heavily offline about this game, just contextualized for everybody. We haven't actually had this like roundtable discussion, but we have had conversations about it. And one of the things that I said was, I was like, you know what? Like, when I first played the game, they really kill the momentum. And that's still true for me. Like, as much as I love the game,
It's a
having
weird
played
choice,
the
yeah.
entire thing, when they cut right in the middle, to then I was playing as Abby. I'm like, all right, it was another like, well, like maybe 40 minutes to an hour of gameplay for her. And then I'm like, oh, we have skill trees. Like, oh
Yeah.
shit. Okay. But it feels like they put you back to the beginning, and it really does kill the kind of momentum. But by the end of her story, I loved Abby. Like you said, like, we saw her arc and where she comes from. And I just, I agree. But I was gonna say, like, when you first start playing as her, I'm kind of like, okay, really? Like, I get it. You're going to show me she's not that bad. And at the end, I like really loved her character.
Yeah.
That's why I said, like, this surprised you.
And even, I will say this, like, even after I had beaten it and I still had bad things to say about Abby, I had watched, I'm like, let me just see if I'm like a crazy person. Turns out a lot of people like it and a lot of people don't like it. But one video that I had watched said that basically, like, when you're playing as Abby, you're essentially going through what you went through with Joel in the first one, where like she comes across this kid she really doesn't have any reason to care about, but something happens and she just does. And it's almost like maybe that's what Ellie saw in Abby, that she kind of did what Joel did for her with I think the kid's name was Lynn or Len or something, I can't remember. And I thought that was a neat way to sort of bring the lesson of
Lev, I think.
Lev, okay. The lesson of Last of Us 1 like into the set. I just never really thought of it like that. I thought that was an interesting kind of way to show Ellie that same thing externally. But overall, I still didn't really like it. It was kind of boring. A to B, like B might have been good, but like everything in between was just like, a lot of it was just boring to me. I didn't think the combat was that great. Like, I know a lot of people love the combat. Yeah. Stealth is like really slow, and I don't know. It's just not my.
I mean, stealth is slow if you play like a bitch.
All right.
No. I get where you're coming from, but to me, like, this whole thing was literally, it was showing that both people had lost everything in a quest for revenge. You know what I mean? Like Abby's quest for revenge ended up costing her every single person that she almost every single person she knew and loved, except for Lev. At the end, I think Lev's all that Abby has left, right? Like, she lost her kind of guy, friend?
Yeah.
Got his pregnant girlfriend killed. Like, she's lost everything, and so has Abby. So has Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
Ellie even loses one of her fingers in the process of the final fight, so she can't even play guitar anymore. And guitar was the one thing she had that reminded her of Joel.
That was so impactful to me.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's just, and to me, like, it's you watch Ellie lose everything, and at the end refuse to lose what's left of who she was before this. And like, I get that might be a tired trope. Like, it might be like, oh, I'm not going to lose myself to my hate. We've seen it in Star Wars, but it was so impactful because of all the little things that seem symbolic to me. Like the finger, Ellie coming back to an empty house, and like she's all she has left, but she still has herself. You know what I mean? And maybe her seeing a reflection of Joel in Abby is a part of it. That's something I hadn't even thought of, which honestly makes me want to replay that end again, or look forward to replaying the end again, because maybe I'll notice more subtle nods to that. But to me, it was this thing where you built up these two characters, you show Ellie doing all these things, and you feel vindicated, you feel like self-righteous, you're like, fuck all these people, these are fucking monsters. You feel bad about killing the dogs, but that's about it when you're playing as Ellie. I've never until I shot the pregnant girl, I was never like upset. I was like, fuck all these people. And then you go back and you play through with Abby, and they're all humanized, and they're all 3-dimensional. They're all like real, and most of them are kind people who are just on the opposite side of the spectrum from you. You know what I mean? Like, they're not bad. They're not all bad people. They're not all zealots. They're not all monsters. They're not all bandits. They're just on the opposite side of the field. You know what I mean? And it's just like, to see them all humanized and realize what Ellie had done, I felt by the end of the game that Ellie's a monster. My thought during the final battle is, please don't kill Abby. Like, just don't fucking do it. Like, this is like the only chance you have left at not being the biggest piece of shit in this game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, to me, that last battle, I was
And listen, that last
tense.
battle was incredible. The battle itself, I'm sorry to cut you off. This is very brief.
Yeah.
The battle itself was fucking incredible. Like, with the rain, and you're at like knee deep in the water. Like, it was so intense.
And Abby was like a shell of her former self because she was completely malnourished. And you're still coming up to her with a knife, trying to attack this person that is barely surviving because of the anger that burns inside of you. Like, there are so many moments in this story. It's hard for me to fathom how you disliked it. There are so many heartbreaking moments that, again, this choice by the developers to just force you to be the uncomfortable passenger in this storyline. When you realize that she's going to leave the house, like when you realize that she's got this perfect, idyllic situation with the person she loves in a beautiful house, they're secure, they are happy, they have everything they need, they have the farmstead they were talking about. When you realize that she can't fucking let it go and she has to leave again. And I felt so sad for her. I was so fucking heartbroken that they were doing that to her. Like when she walked out to the barn and she starts to have like PTSD.
That part was great, by the way. That the PTSD in the barn was excellent.
I just I don't know. And here's the weird thing to me. Whenever we talk about this game and you're like, I didn't like it, you're always like, what don't you like? Well, let me start off by saying the environment's amazing. The voice actors are great. Yeah. The graphics, they're mind-blowing. Abby's story is wonderful. The shit in the barn is great. But I fucking hated the game.
No, but that's the thing. I didn't hate the game as a whole, though. Like, I didn't hate every component of the game, is what I'm saying. I can find something I like about almost anything. But I did like Abby's story. Like I said, though, I felt like almost every single other character was awful. They were boring. Like, they were just flat. Like, they just talked like this the entire time. Like, that's what it felt like to me.
Can I ask
like,
you
just
a super
no
serious
character.
question?
Please.
When you sat down with the guitar for the first time, did you play Wonderwall? Did you do it?
I didn't know you could.
I said maybe. You do, yeah. You could. Like, I was doing like the top 40 chords where like there's like 5,000 songs with that same progression.
Yeah.
Fiddle was literally just shouting out songs in that progression. I was just singing it for like a half hour on stream. It was so much
hilarious.
Fun. It's just, dude, everything, like every single story beat in this, like, again, like, it is a very uncomfortable game. It's not the game I wanted. It would be so easy to dislike it for what it is as a whole if I wasn't like just. It dragged me in, man. Again, imagine playing this game and not knowing that Joel was gonna die, having no expectations for that. If the leaks wouldn't have come out, just imagine how unpredictable this game would have been.
It probably would have been better, honestly. But I think like that one thing was like the fucking Jenga piece that made the rest of the game super predictable.
All right, fair enough. We finally aired our grievances about that game collectively, and that makes me really happy. I'm on the same page as Scott. Like, I would literally turn off the podcast and then just go like circle jerk about how much I love the game with Scott for another half an hour. The story beats in this game.
Well, we got 9 minutes, buddy.
The story beats in this game
right now. Bonus content. Bonus content. Bonus
coombs. I don't, dude. I'm kind of belaboring the same points, so obviously we're wrapping it up. But like the guitar thing, like you brought it up, they've beaten it into our heads from the first game, even. about how meaningful the guitar is between her and Joel. It's a thing that the whole game he plays, she wants to learn how to play. At the end, he says, I'll teach you. We come into this game, he is actively teaching her, and she's not bad. And every chance you get to play guitar is a joy. The way they handled like strumming the chords, like they show you the wheel of chords, and I thought that was fucking awesome. Like good, like GG developers, this shit was great. And then to see her lose that aspect of her was just like, is she totally fucking gone? To the point where going into the last battle, you don't actually know what they're gonna have her do. She's doing a good thing. We didn't talk about the compound at the end. She tracks her down. Abby's been captured, and she's freeing all these people who were under this terrible rule. And you're like, yeah, we're okay. This is the Ellie I remember. Like, fuck these guys. They really are bad. Like, they're keeping these people as slaves to do their fucking bidding. And you're like, oh, great. And then at the end, you are forced to be reminded that she's doing all of this out of rage and revenge. And she's looking for someone who's being apparently tortured by these people and left out to die by the fucking oceanside. Yeah. And it's just such a powerful narrative that culminates in this really uncomfortable final fight where you don't want either side to win or lose. You just want them to fucking stop.
Yeah.
And I thought
that made the ending less impacting, though. I think that it would have been a more I don't like when everybody wins in the end. I think I like bittersweet endings. And it would have been to me more like, oh, that sucks if she did kill Abby or vice versa out of this misunderstanding. They're both people who've just been wrapped up in pain their whole lives. And that cycle of pain just keeps going rather than just like, everybody, I don't know, shaking hands and be like, actually, it's okay. I was strangling you, but now I'm okay with it. And I get why she did it. It was a snap decision. It was like, just get away from me. She realized she was being like the scumbag that she was trying to kill. I get it. I understand all of it. I just think it would have been better if one of them had to bite it.
There was no happy ending for anybody though. They both had it just wasn't the most miserable possible consequence.
Right.
Abby lost everything. Ellie lost. Like, we don't know where Abby's going. We don't know where her and Lev are gonna go. Ellie went home to an empty house. She lost her family. She lost all of her friends. She lost her community.
Yeah. What was her name? Dina? Was she not there?
Yeah, she was gone.
Dina left her.
She said,
said if we do this again, I can't stay for it. And then true to her word,
she
Dina,
She
dipped. So to me, I don't read it as like an all's well that ends well. It's like everything's fucked, but I still have me because like I could have lost myself to this too. Her cutting her down, like she's on a pylon left to die. Think about the mindset it takes to cut someone down so you can be the one to kill them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like think about how dark and fucked that is. And like, and the fact that she was at that point and somehow still like managed to turn it around. Like to me, like it was. I don't feel like it was predictable. Like up that entire fight, I thought I was gonna end up killing Abby. I thought that's what was gonna. I hope not. Like you said, you just wanted it to stop. I wanted it to stop. I'm playing actively, and I'm pushing the button. I'm cringing as I'm pushing the buttons to do these.
Yeah, horrible... you're like, please, come on, like just fucking give up.
I'm just like, fuck, don't fucking do it. Like as I'm doing, I'm like, don't do it. And like no game has ever had me in that place before mentally, where I'm actively fighting a boss that I don't want to win against. Like that's never happened to me in any game I've ever played in my entire life. And right. that to me is why it hits so hard. I'm just like, even if the story is predictable, it still doesn't make it hit me personally any less than it would have, if I hadn't seen it coming. It's just like the fact that I cared as much as I did about both these characters. They both were, imperfect people. They both live somewhere in the gray area between good and bad. But again, intent is everything. Neither one of them started out, as a bad person. They both, like you said, have lived in pain their whole lives for a majority of their lives. And we don't even really know what life was like for Ellie before Joel. You know what I mean? Aside from the DLC of the first game, we have no idea. We only scratched the surface on Ellie's like long history of pain before The Last of Us Part 1. So it's like there's so much of these characters, and it feels like we only peel back a certain amount of layers, but there's still so much in the layers that we get. And to me, it felt like these were just so like these characters were so well written, predictable or not. You could say it's because of spoilers or not. But all of their motivations felt genuine. Nothing felt to me like it was there to be a plot device. Everything had meaning. Every action, every conversation convinced me. And it had me fall in love with two people that I should be able to pick a side. Especially given how much time I spent with Ellie in the first game. And the fact that I wasn't able to by the end of this one, I think says a lot about the narrative, about the way they told the story, and about how compelling the characters were written and how well they were played.
I think it's a testament to the writing that, like, for the next game, I actively want the Abby and Lev team up, and I don't want Ellie. Like, I've seen her story, and while
See,
yes, she has
that
lost
would have been cool. That's what I'm saying. Like that's to me like totally out of left field. Like Abby ends up fucking somehow besting Ellie, even though she's all like weak and emaciated. And then guess what? In game 3, we're not either of the characters that we played as game 1. We're a totally new thing.
Well, I still feel
thought that
like
would've
it
been
would
cool.
be focused on Abby and Lev in 3. I mean, maybe they somehow wrap into Ellie's story so we all know how she's doing. But like you have the perfect The Last of Us formula. It works with a 2-person duo like Abby and Lev, and I feel like Lev is such an interesting character. Like the backstory and everything coming from that kind of cult and being ostracized because of the type of person that Lev is. I thought the whole thing was fucking fantastic. And I just want to say, since we're kind of wrapping up our final thoughts on this game, I wish I could live just for like an hour inside of the weird dichotomy of Derek's head, where you can effusively heap praise on the lighthouse and then shit on this game. Like I just want to be
likewise.
there.
I don't know how you can enjoy subtext in a game like this and not enjoy something like the lighthouse. It's like beyond.
I said enjoy is definitely the furthest word I would.
Yeah,
I would
and
use
you
for
gave
that.
it a 1 out of 5, motherfucker. Okay, I remember.
Well,
Both of you did.
That was just a joke rating. I mean, I would
No.
definitely give it more than 1 out
I
of 5.
100% double down on the 1 out of 5.
The other thing is, I just want to say, like, my closing note before we get away from The Last of Us is that, like, I just want to say, when things are predictable, it doesn't like card it out for me. Like, I don't mind when things are predictable because you can always make the argument like, well, like every story's been told before, every story's probably been told 10 times before, so you're gonna see like similarities and whatnot. Things being predictable isn't the issue. What bothers me is when they act like they do have a rabbit in a hat, because then it makes me think, all right, well then I shouldn't be considering the most obvious thing. And then when it ends up being that thing, I'm just like, all right, that was kind of cheap a little bit. And that's just how I felt the first, I don't know, however many hours of the game that it was, where they're kind of like not telling you why Abby was mad at Joel. I just hated that. Like, they should have just right out of the gate, right when she smashed him, that's for killing my dad. Then I'd be like, fuck yeah, fuck Joel, I'm with you already. Like, but
I'm sorry, but her verbally saying that would be like one of the things where we would all cringe so hard that we would like.
I'm not saying exactly like that, but I mean, like in some capacity, that same sentiment.
All right. Well, all right. That was. I actually liked that conversation. I was worried because we've had so many offline like drunken rants and chats about it that we were gonna like have nothing to say about it. But I mean, I genuinely love the narrative of that game so much that I could just talk. I could talk about how good it is forever. All right, we're gonna wrap things up here. With that being said, I would just want to bring to attention before we sign off one more thing. You can hit us up on Twitter at @TheSchmegNerd. You can ask us questions with #AskTCN. You can email us at questions@thecynicalnerd.com. Jesse, I hope our Lighthouse conversation was at least entertaining.
I love you, Jesse. You're correct.
Thank you for the question. I really appreciate it. I still was going to get it framed. I still am. I just don't have it this week. I printed it. I have ideas. You just fucking wait.
One more time, just for Jesse, I got to do one thing because we don't know if the previous section that we may have a technical difficulty with will make the cut.
Yeah,
I gotta give it one. Woohoo! Sigourney Weaver's puckering butthole. It's for you, Jesse. Jesse gave me a phrase of the week. He gave me a phrase of the week. He's like, hey, Meg, if you could work this into casual conversation at any point, do it. I'm like, you got it, buddy. You tell me what you want to hear.
I like those ideas.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. And just again, in case we have in case our technical difficulty means it's not included in the final podcast, I did very coyly, very eloquently, casually slip it in the conversation, Jesse. I don't know how.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
To the point where my laughter became very real and
alarming.
It's just like an old prospector who like strikes gold, but instead of boy howdy ding doo, it's just Sigourney Weaver's puckering butthole. You know what I mean? It's like he's got a beard, he's got a hat. You know the type. You've seen him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's old Wiley Pete or some shit like that. That's his name.
Yeah.
All right. So with me, as always, is Derek and Scott. Derek, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch for now and Twitter at Dr. GloomMD. That's DRGLOOMMD.
Nice. And Scott, how about you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/Swearwolf. That's SWEARWOLFE. That's Swearwolf with an E.
Nice. And my name is Chris, your gracious host. Every week we come back and talk about all of the silliest shit, and I love doing it, and I'm very thankful you guys are here with me today. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at TCN Plays. And with that, I think we're gonna say goodnight, guys. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll see you guys next week.
4 out of 5 puckering buttholes. Sigourney Weaver buttholes.
I'm gonna use the same reference I did earlier. I'm gonna go 4 out of 5 mermaid mussies.
Ooh, that's a good alliteration.
4 out of 5 chafed dick shafts.
Oh.
Yeah. How's that a good thing but a bad thing at the same time?
Well,
Yeah.
that's up to the listener.
Gonna give it 5 out of 5 sloppy sharts in a public setting.
Yeah. And with that, I'm fucking hungry. I'm gonna go get some dinner at the BK Lounge. I'll see you guys next week.
Oh, fuck you.
See ya.